freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. What do all men with power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcast, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid.
Here we go, guys and girls. Another Sunday, another show. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on We Look at Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM. And, of course, also United States.FM network. I really like this show because it's kind of, let's say, different. We go from, we are a local radio station after all, okay? Even if there is a new little FM rebroadcast the show. By the end of the day, it's a tri-state local AM station. But lately, of course, with the internet, we started to reach, New Zealand and then Australia, and then we go to Sweden, then Italy, whatever. By the end of the day, I always say everything starts locally. And whatever problems we have here that we can fix, or at least we can try to make better, okay? We can inspire each other around the world. I really believe that the struggle for freedom from oppression, and when it comes to oppression, after all, it's always about somebody who wants to tell you how to live your life, lead your life, or live your life. In this form, in these days, the time of the past, we used to have the kings or the queen. In some countries, you still have the queens or queen. Here we have government that we elect. Sometimes government that we elect go a little bit out of control. So it's really good that I really believe we get involved and we try to regain our rights working with our local governments. And I believe that there is a new effort, of course, now that is not just about the local government that we elect, but there is a global government called, of course, the United Nations global government that under ICLEI, and this is not a conspiracy, you can see the website, ICLEI.org, ICLEI, they try to implement different part of the agenda of the socialist New World Order agenda called also Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030. So now what it means that we can fight back if we have good decent human beings among our local governments to try to regain a little bit of our property rights. Now, one thing I like about Mohave County, that even when things are bad, it's always better than many other parts of the world. Because at the end of the day, we have an opportunity to really communicate, at least with our local, elected officials. And I like that. And people say, you got a show, that's easy for you. Not true, because even before I had a show, we always had a chance to reach out, even if we have to, in a peaceful way, complain, let's say, exercise our right. We always had that opportunity and that right. So I tell you, I think it's a great start. That's why I really believe we can make things better. We can inspire each other. Hopefully, we can try together, regain our basic property rights. Now, I have with me a gentleman that I really like him. Even sometimes I don't agree with him, but I think he's a great guy because at least he's not afraid to tell you where he stands and he sticks to his own principle. I like that. And he's a supervisor, of course, Mohave County Supervisor, Steven-Moss. Are you there, Steven?
I am Luca. Thank you for having me.
Very good. Okay, let me call you now with the right title, Supervisor Moss. That's where we are here, okay? Official business. Now
we're Americans, and we can call each other whatever we like.
I know, but this is good.
Supervisor is optional.
Supervisor, you are a supervisor now, okay? Now, let's remind to the public, what type of, which district are you supervisor for? I mean, what is your district you represent?
District 5, which basically, if you follow the Colorado River from the southern border of Bullhead City to the first northern third of Lake Havasu City, Arizona, I cover that area.
Perfect. Last time we talked, was exactly just the day before the elections. You were not concerned, but, it's good to never be cocky, You're still waiting, say, hopefully it's going to be right. And you said, if it's not that, I'll be happy anyway. You have a great career as a lawyer. So, I like that. You don't look like a professional politician. Oh, my God, if you don't get a job, you're not going to pay the rent at the end of the year. So that's great. I like your attitude. And I was happy anyway that you made it, even I'm not in your district. But tell me a little bit now, since the election time, how was your time in office? Did you have a good time? Did you, let's say, accomplish things you wanted to accomplish? How has been things?
Yeah, in some ways it was a period, in my opinion, of great success. In other ways, it was a period of great failure. Great success in that, very early on in the first year, the new board got rid of a lot of administration. I think we shrank the administration budget from $1.3 million to like $400 and some thousand.
Wow.
We got rid of the gun prohibitions in the county buildings. We said that, Americans are free people and they can carry a weapon, and if we're afraid of our citizens, we should probably move to a different country. We did things like that, which I thought was on the realm of civil liberties very early on, which
that was
I thought
the first term.
spoke well.
That was your first term, the first time when...
Yes.
Right.
Now, and we did things like that consistently throughout, didn't raise taxes as a net matter anyway. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the second term, and the second term I was very hopeful. President Trump's election, the early signs on Wall Street, the picking up of building permits, that some of our economic doldrums maybe are behind us. And the difficulty with that, or the false hope of that, is county revenue is always lags well behind the private sector's revenue, and some of the problems that government embedded, 10 years ago are finally coming home to roost. Whether it's the pension systems, whether it's the road systems, things like that. I think it's going forward. It's economic challenges that we're facing. We still have to do things on the private property front and the civil liberty front. For example, last Monday, as I think you referenced, we made some changes to the building code to allow people to build larger structures without a permit. Mm-hmm. But there's the major, I think the next year or two, the major focus is going to be dollars. It's going to be finances. It's going to be how do we pay these bills without going into debt and paying the bank a lot of interest.
I see. Exactly. I was going to ask you that. One thing, one of the things came to my attention, I like Facebook. If you use it correctly, you can grab a lot of information that sometimes it's hard to keep up, just with local news, So there was this post by one of the local, let's say, I don't want to call him activists, but anyway, somebody that normally she's been also running for office, Jennifer Jones, and she wrote this one. Kudos to the Mohave County Supervisors for unanimously approving item 47 on today's agenda. They're pretty much what it says, adoption of Mohave County Ordinance, blah, 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 amending section, 11A3. But before we go to the numbers, as you said, the bottom line that you increase the size of residential accessory structures without utilities allowed without a building permit from 120 square feet to 300 square feet. That's pretty, people may say, wow, so what, right? That's pretty big in my opinion, because normally they always government trying to get more. And here we have a little bit of attempt to give you less drama and more control of your own property, what's supposed to be, especially here in Mohave County. We don't live on top of each other like in New York. If I have 2 acres and if I want to build let's say, a chicken coop or any type of little structure that I know if I make it not correctly, it's going to fall on my head after all. I shouldn't be stressed out, going through every time all these permits and just because I want to move a couple of 2x4 from point A to point B. So I wanted to applaud you for that. That's what I wanted to say pretty much with this basic conversation today for start. But go ahead.
We did the same thing when we first adopted the building code. The most recent version that we have adopted is from 2012 of the International Building Code. I think most of the board is very aware that there's a lot of, because it's called the International Building Code because there's a lot of international policies in it, a lot of which we don't agree with. We deleted entire chapters or entire books of the building code, like the International Energy Conservation Code and the International Wildlife Code and all that. We just said no, we're not even going to consider those. And then to the portions that we did adopt, like the residential code, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, things that we thought dealt with public safety, is we gathered up a half dozen contractors and engineers and architects, and we said go through it and modify it so that it is safe but more property owner friendly. And they did that. They spent a year doing that, removing what I heard was called the sharp edges of that. And so we did that. And what we did Monday was just a continuation of that, because these things should never be stagnant. We always have to be looking at what can be done to improve personal freedom to the extent that we can. If we just pat ourselves on the back and go home, what's the point? Eventually you lose. You have to stay engaged all the time.
Yes, I'm very impressed, I must tell you, because last year we were talking about this international code, and part of me, I was freaking out. I think we also I had you on the show about it, because I say, oh my God, did you read the whole book? This is not just about a building code. This is about controlling properties. This has come from a global plan to create this sort of control over the resources, and at the end of the day, make very difficult for the individual to own private property. But I was so impressed that, not just you, but also the other supervisors, that sometimes I don't really agree, together, you understood that, and you decided to make this custom-made for us, that we are, we don't want to just be part of this global plantation, at least in this part of Arizona, and I believe all over the U.S. The average human being doesn't want that. So I'm very impressed, because I tell you, what you just mentioned, you exactly pointed out the heart of the beast. This is not anymore about public safety. This is about controlling the resources. And I'm sure you're familiar. I mean, this is not anymore a conspiracy. A few years ago, people used to laugh at me. Now I know, for example, Supervisor Hildy, she's pretty well informed. I also gave a book. I donated a book to the county. It's called The Green Agenda, by, I forgot the name. Anyway, the Agenda 21, it is not a conspiracy. It is a fact. And iclay.org, it's a fact that people can check. There are more than, I don't know, many municipalities. For example, are you familiar that Flagstaff officially is part of ICLAY, also called Agenda 21, and some others, let's say, counties, like, for example, Apache County in Arizona. Are you familiar with that name, iclay.org, ICLEI?
No, I don't know that organization, but I do know that there's cities and counties in Arizona and across the U.S. who their political officials have bought into that agenda, and that agenda is essentially, as I translate it, is to push people into cities, get them out of the rural areas, and to turn back the clock in a lot of ways. For example, in the federal government, under the prior administration, there were actually department heads and people who were convinced, because they're appointees, they're political appointees, which means they're political animals, that wanted to bring down the dams of the Colorado River, which, so much the American Southwest relies upon.
Wow.
So it doesn't shock me that that occurs, because, elections have consequences, and when you elect the far left, you're going to get far left policies, and when you elect the far right, you're going to get far right policies. And where you feel comfortable, either on the left or the right or in between, is how people should vote. And they should pay attention, and they should not avoid going to the ballot box, because that's where our political future is that's the war where our political future is being waged, the ballot box.
Wow, I'm very impressed the fact that, seriously, doesn't happen every day, that there is an awareness, especially more than an awareness. Many politicians know what's going on, but the problem is that they like to go along with the plan, because at the end of the day, the grants they're always given, or at least they use as instrument to persuasion, okay, when it comes to follow these directives. Now, I just sent you, by the way, and that's what I like about this show, and that's why I like the report that we have in Mohave County with you guys, because it's always a system we can help each other to learn from each other. And I tell you, many things probably, even just feeding you guys with stuff that normally say you don't know, but at least it's our duty to try to help you to give you this information. I remember Agenda 21, 5-6 years ago, people used to laugh. Now, it's been mainstream, when people also at, I don't know, even Glenn Beck used to talk about that a few years ago. I just sent you right now the website, www.iclei.org, that you will see now. There is a password. They used to be able to see all the municipalities used to be part. Now you must have a password. Why? Because when people start to find out that their own town or their own cities, their officials sold out to this new special word called, they call it sustainability, okay? It's a magic word for pretty much controlling the resources. They will realize that they are now under Agenda 21. So they don't call it Agenda 21 at local level. They call it under ICLAY, Local Government for Sustainability. So please check that out. And maybe, as a member of Mohave County, you can ask to be, to at least have a member login and to double check all the other cities and towns that we have right now, that they are also in Arizona, as I said. But I want to applaud you really for the effort to understand what we are facing here? Because you said exactly right. Now,
I'm looking at it right now, actually, and it's amazing. It looks like half the world has adopted it, and it's because I see the yellow is where Eichley's in place, and the not yellow is where Eichley is not in place, and it looks like Mohave County is not yellow, so that's good.
That's great. I tell you, I want to explain this to the regular people out there. Say this is not about the environment. I'm all for the environment. I want to preserve water. I want to have clean roads and no pollution in the air and everything else. This is about controlling the resources of humanity, starting from, even the garden that you want to build. For example, there is in Germany right now, I don't know if you're familiar, probably we don't care, we live here, but still, that's the way system works. In the next 2 years, the average German town will not be allowed to build anymore a single home. Only apartments under Eichley. Because after all, we do not need to live in a single house. But we will live stashed in apartments, like you said. That's the way they treat us. Meanwhile, we have the Al Gore of the world, living in a 40,000 square foot home. Okay, that's what a villa.
Right. I'm looking at it. Arizona has 8 Eichley members in it, and none of them are disclosed. None of them are identified. They just say they have 8 members in Arizona. Yeah. So it's not Mohave, I can tell you that.
No Mohave. A few years ago when I found out about this website, it was available to the public without magic password. I knew that Flagstaff was one, and not really surprised. I mean, but people need to understand how they make it difficult for you to live in that environment. Even the basic code for business becomes so overtaxed, so expensive, that they want you almost, that you don't do anything, pretty much. I mean, it is really difficult to operate as a human being. Don't even get me going about having access to water or building something. So I hope you can take a look more into this and maybe share with your other supervisors, colleagues.
I'll do that. Perfect. I would be glad to do that. It's always good to stay informed. I see that they're big on climate change also and carbon sustainability. Yeah. So it's an interesting group, it looks like.
Yeah, and you know what happened now, for example, in Canada under Trudeau with the new carbon tax. The average Canadian family, I was just in Canada a few weeks ago for business. They're going to pay about $500-600 a year just because, they're told so, just because they're breathing. I mean, that's pretty much what they want to do. I mean, they will pay because we emit CO2. That's the reality, Yeah. And, I don't understand how logic works. How can people even justify that? Just because we pay, we're going to save the world. I mean, this is like the time of the Pope. When you pay, you go to heaven. I mean, it sounds pretty similar to me. What do you think?
Well, in the days of the dinosaur, there was a lot more carbon in the atmosphere than there is now. Yeah. It's, I think that they're creating justifications because the purpose is to take control. Yep. And so to justify control, you have to create a justification. And I think you referenced at your opening about medieval kings and queens. They decided to go to war frequently. And then when they made that decision for personal reasons, for greed, for power, they created some good excuse, like, the other person's a Catholic or a Protestant, or they insulted my name or whatever. But that was just an excuse. The reason they went to war was for greed and for power. It wasn't because they were trying to be a good Catholic or a good Protestant or a good this or that. They're gangsters and they wanted power. And to think that human nature has changed all that much from the Dark Ages, I think, is naive. The human beings in a cave in the Stone Age has the same character as a human being living in a 2,000 square foot house, air-conditioned house. It's just the pressures we're on is different, that's all.
I agree. And now, unfortunately, some of the kings, we elect them, and at least, they sneak through, like the bureaucrats out there, that they pretty much stay no matter which administration. Now, let's talk about a little bit of things that you are not happy. You told me about good things that you're able to accomplish. Now, frustrations. I know that there has been some debates about getting more revenues for the sheriff department. The new sheriff, Mr. Schuster, seems like he needs more money. I understand that, unfortunately, the reality that we don't have enough, benefits like other departments. But at the same time, we've been spending some money, for example, in some other buildings. I heard, like the public work buildings. Tell me, what do you think now about increasing sales tax in Mohave County? Is something that we can avoid or we cannot avoid, according to you?
Well, we have time before a final decision has to be made, but I'm currently leaning, and I've said this publicly many times, to increasing the sales tax, preferably the sales tax, in order to deal with these issues. You mentioned the sheriff. He needs 129 deputies. 120 deputies, excuse me. We have 79, and we can't ever seem to grow past that point because they keep getting raided by other agencies because we don't pay them enough. That's about roughly a $3 million price tag. We lost some cases in front of the Arizona Supreme Court. I should say the state has lost some cases in front of the United States, the Arizona Supreme Court, and the county's been presented with a $38 million pension bill. That's not a debt we incurred because we're not in control of it, but it's a bill that's passed from the state to the counties and to the cities, and our share is $38 million. We have roads, which we have been putting Band-Aids on because of a lack of revenue for the last 10 years, and they're steadily deteriorating, and the engineers are reporting that 45% of them are approaching failure, and the other 55% will go within the next 10 years. And we were always $8 to $9 million behind on revenue. That's a problem because if we don't pay the pension, if we made minimum payments on the pension, if we made minimum expenditures on the roads, it's just like making a minimum payment on your house. You pay more interest and you pay longer, and it gets to the point where the interest is controlling the budget as opposed to saying, I'm going to make 2, 3, 4 times the monthly payment, and what was going to be a 30-year debt, I'm going to knock out in 6 or 7 years, and I'm going to pay very little in the way of interest. And to me, that's more financial sense because more tax revenue is being spent if you let these debts linger. If you pay them off quickly, less tax revenue is being spent. And that's what's bringing me around to it because I hate taxes, but I hate debt worse. And it is because debt, my grandfather was a plumber. He was a very wise man, and he once told me, interest is for suckers. And that's true. If you're paying interest, you are a sucker. If people who buy new cars and they're paying interest when they could have bought a year or two older car for less money, they're going to change that car in 5 years. They're almost like feudal serfs because rather than the Duke or the Baron being the master, it's your bank, which is your master, because you're sending 5, 10, 15% interest to him every year on what you're making.
Well,
Forget your taxes. You're sending him interest.
Well, I agree. So, it's true. I mean, interest is always bad. It's always the master and the slave. That's the idea of banking system. But my point is one, I understand a problem must be fixed somewhere, but sometimes there are different ways too. I mean, cutting costs. I mean, also try to avoid to do necessary spending. I mean, one point I was looking at, there was one of the latest building that was built in the county. What is the Public Works building? I mean, it's a nice building.
Yes.
What is the one just outside Bank Street? Is that the one?
Yeah, there's 2 buildings out there, Public Works and Community Development Services. They were built back, I think, in 2008, 2010, and they took road dollars to build them. And that's before I was on the board,
I know.
was on the board.
Yeah, I know that. I want to be clear. That was not under your administration. That's very important to know. But, by the way, I've been at that building just on the late note. I want to give you a little feedback as a taxpayer. They look beautiful. I mean, kind of, it looks almost like Beverly Hills, in my opinion, when you go inside, like some sort of a clinic. But it's really, my opinion, like a waste. I mean, we could have crammed that somewhere else, honestly, especially when you think what type of cost we had to pay for that, And that's the problem. Sometimes guys, we look at the politician. I don't like taxes, of course, but we also look at the last person holding the bucket of water. And unfortunately, there is somebody before they plug the hole in the water, And I'm sorry, now you're stuck with the bucket with the holes inside because, now everybody's focusing on you, of course, and the other supervisors. We have some money missing here, and we need to try to figure it out what to do. Anyway, we can cut some other costs. Forget about the past. What is done is done. I mean, what we can cut around here. Anything we can trim down a little bit.
In my opinion, there is a lot that we could cut. But it takes at least 3 votes to cut. And those 3 votes don't exist. And so we're kind of like almost in a Mexican standoff where, if I was if I was 100% in control, I could balance this budget by 5 o'clock this evening, without raising taxes.
Wow.
But I'm not 100% in control.
And
I think the other supervisors could do the same thing. Now, they would have different priorities than I would have, but they could all do the same thing. The power is divided. And that means when it comes to cuts, I know we have 3 supervisors who think we've cut too much. And, for example, administration has been cut from 1.3 to 400 to 500,000. The only department which I think off the top of my head which has grown over time is law enforcement. I think they've grown a couple $1 million. And the others, if they have costs that have increased, it's because insurance costs are going up. The animal shelter, we privatized it to a small degree. They're still using a government building, even though they're providing the labor. And we went from roughly $800,000 down to $300,000 in costs. So we've been cutting and cutting and cutting. And I think there's more that could be cut, but I don't think there's 3 votes to make those additional cuts. I also think there's fund balances out there that we have overfunded. Some people call them reserves. The government calls them fund balances. I think they're overfunded, and I think there's too much money in there. But again, Hildy and I fought this battle last year. There's at least 3 who do not want to redirect those to pay down debt. They want to keep those reserves in place. Like there's a fund, what they call the Vehicle Replacement Fund, where they want to generate enough money in there to get it to $7 million so they can replace 5 years' worth of county vehicles in one check if they need to. I think that's kind of extreme. Maybe 1 or 2 years of reserves would be good, but you don't need 5 years' worth. But again, my opinion is 20% of the puzzle. And unless you get 60% of the puzzle, what's going to happen is, because even though I'm offended, or disappointed would be a better word, with some decision-making, those decisions have been made. And that does not change the fact that we owe $38 million to the pension system. It does not change the fact that our roads are going to fail, and it's going to cost, for every dollar of maintenance we did not do, it's going to cost us $4 to $10 to rebuild that road. So it's these financial catastrophes, that's my view, because that's how I feel about them, are looming. And it doesn't change it's like the old saying, you go to war with the army you have, not the one you want. And so that's where we're at, and I feel frustrated by that. I feel disappointed by that. I feel apprehensive because of that. But my distress doesn't change the reality. And that reality needs to be dealt with.
I understand. At the same time, I hope, because unfortunately, Mohave County, it's already a county mostly with, at least part of the county with people that are retired and fixed income. And property, when you start to increase, now we're talking about sales tax, of course. I don't want to mix with property tax, but it's all connected. When you start to go up, it's like a chain reaction. And property, I know already living in the county here, a lot of people that they are retired. And unfortunately, year after year, when the property tax goes up, they start to realize that there are less things they can do to enjoy life, or even just to live, if they don't want to lose their home. Because we discussed that in the past, and I like your position on that. We wish we could remove, you pay just one time the sale tax for your property, and then that's your property. Otherwise, it's like a lease or a rent that we pay every year. And the point is, sometimes you can afford. If you cannot afford anymore the rent, you lose your property. At least, you don't have possession anymore. So all I say is difficult. But listen, I really appreciate, because that's the spirit of our local government, at least in Mohave County. I mean, we can communicate, and at some level, some supervisors, I'm sorry, I try, but there is they stand completely in different position. But at least, people like you and Supervisor Hildy, it's always a process to, feeding information from each other, and I like that. I'm really proud of you guys, okay?
Thank you, Luca. I appreciate that. I'm going to say something that even when we've disagreed, you've always been rational, and you've always had a logical analysis to support your decisions and your conclusions. It's not this knee-jerk emotional thinking that we so often see. There's actually some rigorous thought behind it. And what I think is great about humanity at our best is many people can apply rigorous thought to the same data points. And because they're different, each one of us is different, they can come up with different conclusions, different opinions, different plans. And hopefully we can come up with a plan between now and the beginning of August that minimizes the impact on our residents.
Listen, I want to say something for Mohave County. People ask me, oh my gosh, I've been traveling around the world a little bit when I was younger, before I came here to America. And I say, why are you here? you know what? I could be living in every part of the world. I have another part in another part of Arizona that I don't disclose, but it's my secret little hideout. But beside that, I chose Mohave County, and there is no other place I would like to live, even when I could afford almost everywhere I could. I like it here. And one of the reasons I like it here, it's not just the weather. It is because the opportunity we have still to at least interact with our local, especially in the county. And I hate the cities, honestly. I couldn't live in a city. But in the county, Mohave County, we can still interact with our public servants, and we can try to make things better. Because after all, when we complain, if we do not try to put some input, we have no right to complain. That's all I can say. So I want to thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Luca, and I return that. Thank you for being on the radio. Thank you for keeping on raising these issues. I think you're performing a valuable service, and I'm glad you left Italy and came to America. We need more immigrants like you. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was Supervisor Steven-Moss from Mohave County, and we take a little break, and then we go another guest. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna. Do not go away.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short, and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM. We just had the first part of the show, Mohave County Supervisor Steven-Moss. And I'm telling you, I really mean it. As much things are not perfect, because after all, we still live on planet Earth, here in Arizona, even in Mohave County, of course. Guess what? Things can be better, or at least we can make it better. We have a hope. That's the point. We have some hope. We can work with our, public servants. They listen to us. You don't need to wait a month just to have a phone appointment. You can pretty much go and meet them at the public office. Okay? That's it. It's our office. I like this. And this is, think about, in a county building that law-abiding people can go there without being harassed, be stressed. We can carry guns, open or concealed. I mean, that's the spirit, okay? The freedom. And of course, sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't agree, but at the end of the day, we can make things better. And I've been noticing, I've been witnessing, I believe in my humble way, being part of this process, like many other activists or just regular people who live in the county. They want to try to, make it better. So we go there, we open our mouth, and I saw it changes in the last 8 years. So I'm impressed. Now, something that I'm not impressed, something that breaks my heart because I'm emotionally little attached. When I came from Italy, my first landing spot was California. Exactly, I was in Studio City, and I enjoy California. Don't get me wrong. That was almost 19 years ago now. And for me, coming from Italy was like, wow, especially in fall, winter, my first winter there, the beautiful weather, great people, at least, I like the people, the attitude, positive. Many things, of course, I didn't know yet. But immediately, not even after a few months walking around Los Angeles, I noticed that California was heading to trouble. Then, of course, you start to wake up, you start to understand what's going on, and I decided, I wanted to stay here as an American. I started to get involved, a more important concern, because I saw California with a trend that was going to be to self-destruction. And that was 19 years ago, not even a few months after I was already there. And now, of course, you know the story. About 11 years ago, I was lucky enough to leave. And with a broken heart, because I had a beautiful place and I enjoyed there. I made pretty much my business. I started there, one of my businesses. And I really realized how they were going bad, and I was lucky enough to leave. But now, 11 years later, it's like almost seeing apocalypse now. I mean, the destruction. I have met great people in California, people that really put their heart and also their bodies in try to save it, try to stop this trend of destruction that it was created by, let's say, the enemies within. These politicians sell out to globalists to create pretty much a no border or borderless society. That means, whoever can go there and tap in benefits and everything. And of course, we are next to Mexico, so guess what? You're going to get pretty much Mexifornia. That's what you get now. Now, one of the guys I really met, and also I've been following during the years, because he's always been activist, trying to, not only serve his country, our country, before as a Marine, but also after when he retired, even more, in my opinion, to try to continue his oath, to fulfill his oath to this republic. His name is Jeff Schwilk. Jeff, are you there?
I am here, Luca. Thank you. What a great introduction.
Hopefully, I understand I'm kind of, little boring and long, but I meant it. I met you there, and more important, I've been following you there, even when I was in Arizona, following what the struggle you and other fellow Americans you've been through. And my prayer is always with you because, I was there, one of you guys, and I understand the pain and misery to see what America should be and is not and how they're destroying it. But I want to give you the floor. Introduce a little bit first yourself. You're not just a regular guy. You've done a lot of interesting things in life. And more important, I believe the last 10 years, as said, you continue your duty to try to do your part to try to save this republic, and in this case also the Republic of California. Go ahead, Jeff. Please introduce yourself.
Well, that's absolutely it. I did retire in 2003 from a nice, successful Marine Corps tour career, 21 years. And, I did take that oath. You said that very well, back in 1982 when I joined. And I just felt like, that oath doesn't expire. There's no expiration date on it. It doesn't say, when you get out, you don't have to save your country. You don't have to defend your constitution, your country. So I just, kept going. And I was lucky enough to meet up with, you and a lot of good patriots in 2005, 2006 when we started this movement and really kicked it off and pushed it. And, hoping we're still on here.
Yeah,
Sorry, there's a delay there. But yeah, it's just been a passion of mine. I feel very fortunate to be able to do this. I know most people cannot. They have to work and earn a living and pay, these ridiculous taxes that we pay in California and everywhere. And, I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate to do this. I'm fortunate to be able to continue to serve my nation. And I think we've made some gains. We've made some progress. Saving California is, like slaying a dragon. It's just really, really hard, but we certainly have got in our shots on them, and we keep them hopping as much as we can. But like you said very well, the tide has turned. I grew up here. I was born here in California and left a few times for tours in the Marine Corps, but I've spent most of my life here, and it's very sad to watch it go from the greatest state in America, in my humble opinion, to probably the worst, and just in my lifetime, and that's not that long, 30, 40 years. So, but we keep fighting because it's a beautiful place, and no place I'd rather live if I can continue to live here as long as I can. But we just have to fight. We have to fight the bastards, especially both parties, when they get out of line and try to act like third world politicians. It's our job to go in and straighten them out.
I have a question because more a question, a point. The point is, unfortunately, you're right. I believe that no matter the odds, till you have a little bit of oxygen and breathing capabilities and some blood in your system, you gotta fight back. You can't just sit down and say, "Okay, I give up." That's not what we do here, and I agree with you. At the same time, I realize that the struggle that you have in front of you is almost like 1 to 100. Okay, remember, 10 years ago, 11 years ago when I left, I remember, for example, just the debt that California had. We're talking about probably about $5 or $6 billion, deficit. And then most of that, we know where was coming from because, for some reason, I don't know why. I know why, because the politicians, they've been pretty much, paid off, or at least nurtured by illegal aliens. And we know very well, Agustin Sabad and all these people out there in Los Angeles, there are already millions of them, and they vote. Even if they couldn't vote or they shouldn't vote, they're already voting somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
So they control the political system. And when they control that, they control the elections, and more important, they control who is in Sacramento and who makes, write the laws. Now, what is right now the California debt? Because when I left, it was scary. It was $4 or $5 billion. Now I heard it's even more. What numbers do you have, the latest numbers?
Well, I don't have the latest numbers, but what I do hear, I listen to John and Ken a lot. You probably remember them in
Yes.
LA. They're still on fire. They still do a great job up there. Fighting the fight on the radio like we fight it, in the streets, basically. And they harp on this budget stuff and the Sacramento stuff all the time. But the numbers I've seen, various media reports and them, people that track this stuff, it's grown just massively out of control. The number I keep hearing that's the scariest number is unfunded liabilities plus the debt or deficit. And it's over $300 billion. It's absolutely unsustainable. I think they only bring in like 80 or 90 billion a year, which is a lot of money, but that's not nearly enough to sustain their credit card, the credit card and their spending habits. They're like the crazy ex-wife that had your credit card, and she's just running up tens of thousands of dollars on the credit card. It's actually it's worse than that, but
Jeff, I'm freaking out. Sorry to interrupt you. I just put on Google California's 400 billion debt worries analysts.
Yep, there you go.
400 billion. Oh, this is like a country. I mean, forget about a state. Probably Europe. I don't know if you get so much in debt. I mean, a continent. This is huge. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, Greece's economy collapsed with far less debt than that. So that tells you how bad a state we're in. And they're just whistling through the graveyard, just pretending like it's never gonna really happen. And shockingly, we all thought it would crash about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago. And every year we wait for this crash, and the crash never comes. And I think Obama had a lot to do with that. I think he was able to prop them up for 8 years and keep them going and help them out and behind the scenes to basically make sure that nothing crashed out. But I'm not sure that's going to be the case for the next 4 years. I think at some point something's got to give. I tell you one thing that's really scary, even almost as bad as those numbers of the debt, is that China owns a lot of that debt, if not most of that debt.
Wow.
So they've come in, and I hear this almost every week now, that the Chinese investors are coming in. They're now buying wineries in Temecula, big, hundreds of acres of land for wineries and vineyards, and that was unheard of before. Before it was just office buildings and hotels and property. But now they're going for big swaths of things they've never even gone for before. Nothing's off limits anymore. They know it's basically a fire sale here, and they're buying it all up. So when the credit card does come due, we're going to owe that money to China. They're going to be taking the collateral. So it's really scary. It's going to collapse. It's just a matter of when. It's a house of cards. So that's scary enough. I've had like you decided to leave 10, 11 years ago. We've all been thinking about leaving ever since then, or before even maybe. But we basically, the ones of us that are here left, and there's fewer and fewer every month. But the ones that stay, we're kind of staying until the end. We're kind of the last ones off the Titanic here.
Yeah.
We all have a bug out plan, or I do. I have a bug out plan. When this house of cards starts falling over, I'm out of here. I don't own property here. I'm out of here. So, and I got a couple states in mind, to go and live in America. So,
live in America.
I'm not going down with a ship. I got a lifeboat. I'm ready to jump out, but I just hope I don't wait too long. And, because it is going to be a mass exodus when that happens.
Jeff, let me tell you, because the taxes, they're bad. They're just the consequences, of course, of corruption and also of the problem of the illegal immigration, because, a big part of this debt is being created by all these completely open border society that, you cannot save the world. I mean, there are 7 billion people out there. Everybody wants to go to California. Yeah, guess what? Somebody got to pay at the end, and not going to be possible. Okay. So, but the point is, meanwhile, California, I noticed, even reading the news and also some of your posts on Facebook and emails that you send out, he has a bigger at least there's an even darker problem. I don't say bigger, darker problem. First of all, it's an invasion, no anymore just of the Mexicans. And by the way, I have no problem if you're in Mexico. You can be, Italian, or you can be whatever. But, the problem is in reality, border, California is Mexico. It's not Italy or China.
Right.
Yes, we have a lot of Chinese illegal immigration too, but that's another story. Mostly,
a lot of Chinese. Yeah.
The problem, the Mexicans come there, and they have two different types. One is the Reconquista. They really brainwashed pretty well by the globalist schools, and they go there, they want to take over back with their penis, or even eventually with violence, the Southwest. And the second part, of course, they also come there, and they will win with the, let's say, repopulating and politically creating the new type of voters. Now, there is also another problem. the problem of the Muslim invasion, because that's an invasion. It's not like just a migration. It's a planned invasion. Especially reading in San Diego, the school district, what's going on there. I mean, it seems like completely out of logic. What's going on with this Muslim invasion?
Well, we all were hoping it wasn't true, that the rumors were bad. You know, we all kind of kept our heads in the sand because we were worried about the border and the illegal immigration issue here, especially in San Diego County in Southern California. So that's what we've all been focused on for 12 years. And then finally I started waking up. People kept sending me stuff, and I'm like, I didn't want to believe it was true. It's like, no, it's got to be a small problem. It's got to be a small problem. It's not worth our time to fight little issues when we got all these big issues. And then I found out some bombshells about a year ago. A friend of mine, you might remember him, Joe Turner from Save Our State.
Of course.
Real smart guy, younger guy. Yeah, so he got wind somehow about the numbers of Muslims coming in. We knew that Obama had a huge refugee program for many years, and that they were almost all Muslims and almost all Middle Easterners. And we all hear the national media telling us, well, it's bad in Dearborn, Michigan, it's bad in Minneapolis. And you think, well, that's a long ways away. Who cares? I mean, it's bad. It sucks for them, but that's a long way from California. I don't have to worry about it. Anyway, Joe was able to tap into the State Department website. Not really tap in. He just went in there. He found the link, and he clicked a few different sublinks there and got in, and where, you know, just most people didn't even know it was there. It's kind of hidden. You have to kind of just know where you're going and look around. And he got in there last year, and he starts looking. The raw numbers were right there. They weren't even hiding them. Very strange, but they were not hiding them. And you can go in there and you can sort the numbers of every nationality. This is just for refugees. You can sort it by year. You can sort it by what city they went to, what state they went to, what nationality. So you can literally find out how many Syrians were dumped into Phoenix in 2014 if you wanted to. You can get that exact number.
Yeah.
Whether it's 30 or 100, whatever, or 300. Anyway, we looked at the numbers and I was just blown away. San Diego is by far the biggest dumping ground in the entire nation.
Wow.
San Diego City, which is a large city by landmass, is the largest city and area of Muslim dumping for at least the last 4 to 5 years. It was really hard to go back much farther than that, but that's all that matters. The numbers were off the charts. Like 2,000 Syrians last year in 2016 were dumped into San Diego. And of course, they're all Muslims, or 99.99% Muslims, Syrians dumped there. And it's not just the Syrians, Afghanis and Iraqis and Iranians, and all the terrorist countries that Trump has been screaming about for over a year. And my head started exploding. I'm like, oh my God, this is way 100 times worse than we could have ever imagined. So we got onto that issue, and to bring it full circle, they're taking over. They've taken over San Diego quietly. You don't see it on the news. The politicians never mention it from either party. They're keeping it all hush-hush. Even with Trump in office, it's still a big secret. Don't talk about it. If you do talk about it, show a nice little cushy Muslim story, Muslim refugee fluff piece in the paper on the front page. Oh, look how they're getting along and assimilating and we're running businesses. Yeah, but that doesn't talk about all the gangs forming, the Somali gangs, all these things going on. The implementing the Sharia law both in our court system.
Wow.
It is now a crime in San Diego to insult a Muslim.
Wait. One second. Tell me, you mean you say something I don't know? I don't like you or whatever. Your book sucks or whatever. They can arrest you. What happened here? I mean,
well, let me tell you the story. We found out about this case. This happened about a week before the election in November. It made the news. It was a hate crime, and our local media just jumped. That becomes their top story on their newscast. Oh, with the 3 Americans arrested. So that's what happened about a week before the election. It was very tense. Some people wanted Hillary, a lot of people wanted Trump, and there was a lot of animosity between the two camps. So what happened is in a little part of San Diego that's known as Little Mogadishu, and it's got that name. It's well earned. There's about 25 to 30,000 Somalians living in Little Mogadishu area of San Diego. Unfortunately, it's not little. It's a pretty large swath of San Diego. I don't know if it's a mile or how much, but it's a big area because it takes a lot of area to hold 25, 30,000 people, right? So they have their own little enclave. They all congregate there. They have their own little, neighborhood. So they call it Little Mogadishu, and affectionately or whatever. So, but there are obviously non-Muslims that still live in that neighborhood too. And these 3 guys, Americans, Trump supporters, went in to get a pizza on a Sunday afternoon at a little takeout pizza, store, whatever, restaurant, but just takeout, not a fancy restaurant. So they ordered their pizza. They went in to order the pizza, and then they're going to wait around and take it home and have a birthday party. And anyway, so they were in line waiting to order their pizza, and two Muslim kids and two of their women friends walk in, and they're obvious Muslims and obvious Somalis. They're very dark skinned, they look African. And we weren't there. There's no video of what happened, but for the best consensus we can see is that let me think. I remember the exact story how it went. I think the guys were talking about Donald Trump or something. I don't know. One of the Muslim kids, he's a 19-year-old punk. His Facebook page looks like a gangster. And I think he was actually born here, but his dad, of course, is a refugee. So anyway, he mouthed off and said something like, basically said F Trump, or he did say F Trump. He said F Trump. And, being the proud, red-blooded Americans, one of the guys yelled back, well, F we still don't know, but he either said F Islam or F ISIS. One of the two.
Okay.
Either way, right?
You can say both.
Right?
I think
so
you should
F
say
Trump.
Yeah. Okay.
Free speech in America, First Amendment.
Yes.
Somebody says F your candidate, you say F your religion, whatever, right?
Whatever, it doesn't
matter.
matter.
Then, the Muslim kid didn't like that, and he came over and he wanted to start something, got right in the guy's face. Well, this guy's got a, short fuse. He's not going to let this little punk punch him. So he pushes him back, and then a little melee starts. Just basically a barroom brawl type situation, right? Nobody was hurt. Nobody went to the hospital. Just a little bit of ruckus there. Anyway, the Muslim kids, turns out the 19-year-old Muslim kid, his daddy is like high up in CARE, and an activist for Muslims in San Diego. So how could the guy have known that? But so he went running to Daddy, and Daddy called his political friends in the city and the PD.
Wow.
And basically, long story short, they came out and arrested the three guys for assault. And when they charged them, they charged them with felony hate crime assault because he insulted Islam while he was supposedly beating the crap out of him. But again, there were no injuries. There was no hospital. So yeah, and they are now, all three of them are, this happened in November, and they are going to trial in August, all three of them on felony hate crime charges. Not a small charge. They are facing 4 years in prison if convicted.
Oh my God.
So that's where we're at.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, you got it, right. I mean, we tried to get this in the national news, and we've had a hard time for some reason. Breitbart wasn't even touching it back then. I don't know why. This should have been on Hannity 2 weeks after it happened. But, with all the stuff with Trump in the election, everything got pushed aside. But it's horrific. It's a big story down here from our side because we're watching to see if they can get away with this. And these guys are poor. They don't, they all got like 15 kids between them and crappy jobs. So they don't have any money to hire attorneys. So they're using public defenders. We tried to get them a little bit of money, but it takes so much money to hire attorneys. One of them finally did get an attorney.
Wow.
The other two still have public defenders. So and the DA is a corrupt La Raza guy named Oscar Garcia. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He's the same guy that went after John Monty in 2006 in San Diego and tried to charge him with the hate crime because he got beat up by 10 illegal aliens.
I remember that.
Charged.
Yes, I remember.
Remember that case?
Yes,
yes. Same DA, Oscar Garcia. He's a piece of crap.
Wow.
And he works for La Raza. He works for CARE. He works for whatever whore hires him. And so he's going after these guys because they don't have any money. They're not real smart guys. They're in their late 30s, but they're just working class blue collar guys. And he sees them as easy pickings, and he's going for it. He wants a conviction. He wants to probably be the real DA someday. Who knows? Political career, feather in his cap, award from CARE,
Jeff,
whatever.
Let me stop you 1 second because it's very sad.
Sure.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's not just about these three guys. This is about.
I know.
As I heard also in the school, now they are proving that they're teaching Islam. They're going to test it out, Sharia law and dress up the kids and brainwash them. I mean, this is deep.
Yeah.
This is probably it's more dangerous than the illegal aliens invasion. Because I'm telling you, illegal aliens invasion is pretty dangerous. But this one, it really comes down to change completely the DNA of this country. Because as I said, I have no problems with, whatever religion you are, if you believe in, whatever you believe, Catholic, priest, I don't care. But the point, I have a problem with one religion. And I read every book, you can read every book. If every book minds their business and does not use or contemplate violence to convert you, that's fine. But if you read their book, it's completely the antithesis with the system that we're supposed to have here. It is not, it cannot survive, or at least we cannot survive as a free society if they start to take over. I mean, their book is about domination, is about, not about peace. It's peace when you're dead. You have two options. Or you submit, okay, say you're going to have peace, or you die, and then you're going to have peace. That's pretty much the story. So there is no way. And these people, they know what they're doing. They come and look little like innocent at the beginning. Then when they got the numbers, look what happened in England. They start to get their political people in power. And guess what? They're going to start to legislate. Oh, you cannot have alcohol here, or you can have a billboard, for example, with a beautiful woman out there. And you're going to live like under, Middle Ages, before Middle Ages, Dark Ages situation. So it's very serious. I want to give you the floor. Anything people can do to contact you, maybe other people maybe listening to this show, even on the internet in San Diego area to find out, maybe they can just be involved a little bit. I know you're on Facebook. I'll give you information if you want to.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. I have an email list. If anybody wants to get my emails, I do send stuff out nationwide. I have a separate list outside of California, so I only use that if it's an issue that's national prominence, like this Muslim issue. I really do believe that everyone needs to see that, because it could be happening in your city too, maybe not to the extent of San Diego, but it could happen, and it will happen at some point. As like you said, the numbers build, they get more and more bold and confident, and they say, you know what, we grew up under Sharia law. We need Sharia law. They've done polls that says 75% of all the Muslims here, I think it's 75%, in America would rather have Sharia or believe Sharia is better than the Constitution. Mm-hmm. That's freaking horrifying. So when Trump says, let's get people out of here that don't belong here and that don't have any respect for America, he's just hitting the tip of the iceberg, of course. So, yeah, get involved with your city. Contact me, just like my name, Jeff Schwilk, SCHWILK, at KTOX.net. If you want to get a hold of me by email, I'll add you to my list. Or, you can go to our Facebook page. Our main one is San Diegans for Secure Borders. I do put some Muslim stuff on there occasionally because it is part of the immigration issue. It's a stealth invasion, and it's aided and abetted by our government. And one thing I'm a little disappointed with Mr. Trump, he's reducing the numbers, but Obama had already doubled them last year, so reducing them by 50% just brings it back to the 2015 levels of about 50,000 Muslim refugees a year. That's still way too high. So we need to work on them on that. We need to get those numbers way down to something reasonable. I mean, 0 is reasonable, but anything's better than 50,000.
I don't want to sound extreme. And normally I really welcome everybody. I'm an immigrant myself, but after having experiences with Muslim, if you're a good Muslim, I'm sorry, I have people that let's say background that they are Muslim, but they are decent people because they are not really Muslim. They are some sort of like atheist Muslim, okay? Just because they were born, they couldn't care less. They're great. They're great guys. You can get along. They respect, even if they have a little bit of different background. But if you're a good Muslim, the only number that I would like to have is 0, because there is 0 compatibility with the system. Sorry, every time I met a real Muslim, they consider themselves a good Muslim, following the words of his prophet. Oh, guess what? 0 is the magic number that I think we should accept here in this country. Anyway.
And that's going to come from educating our people, our own people, and you're doing a great job with your audience there, and we're trying to sound the word, and people sound the alarm to me, Jeff, you got to get involved in this issue. And finally I said, you know what, you're right, I do, and now I do that about 50% of my time, and the other 50%
Jeff,
illegal
I have
aliens.
5 seconds. Let me go to the second hour. Thank you very much and be in touch. Guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, ready for our number 2.
It is time. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now with Arizona Concealed Carry Permit by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. Become a more responsible and educated gun owner. Carry legally concealed in 35 states. Carry permitted in restaurants where alcohol is served. Learn where and how you can legally carry a firearm in Arizona. Learn where you can use deadly force. When can you display your gun or not for self-defense? Learn how to deal with law enforcement while carrying a firearm. Learn how to be aware of your surroundings and how to avoid a confrontation. Buy your gun without waiting for a background check. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now. Go to www.azccw.us. Go to www.azccw.us. Free for single mothers and people with disabilities.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. This is the second hour, the hour about guns. Well, I'm excited, I must tell you. I really like to challenge myself. I like always to learn new things. and become new things. Say, Luca, what are you talking about? What are you becoming? New things? Yes, let me explain to you. I wish I had 100 lives, not because I want to live longer, but because I want to learn almost everything. I mean, not everything. There's some stuff I don't like, I must tell you. I'm not exactly a handy guy. I'm not really that good at manual works. I don't like those. But I have other things that I really enjoy. It's like my instinct brings me back. I like, for example, the use of firearms or swords, some sort, maybe, I don't know, maybe genetic memory. I don't know, since I was a child. And I'm not violent. Don't get me wrong. I hate violence. But I'm very fascinated by how to use and be proficient with anything that can be a tool, not to kill, but to defend myself, to defend the people I love, to also defend freedom. That's a fact. And of course, I have other things I like to do. I like to do music, poetry, and whatever. I have a lot of stuff I like to do. But this is regarding now the guns hour, okay? So I always was fascinated since I was a child. Then, of course, you try to find the ways. Of course, if you live in Italy, you're stuck. It's difficult, but still, I was able to have a connection, at least be in contact with firearms, even when I was a young man. For some, very destinies reasons, my family were able to have guns in Italy, especially, because I had one of my uncles was a general, high-ranked general. So, when you're a general, you're not like the regular slaves out there, okay? That's the way it works. Sorry, guys. That's the way socialism works. Or, in general, European government works. Slaves are not allowed to have guns. But if you are an enforcer, if you're one of the soldiers for the state, yes, you can get pretty much whatever you need. Then, of course, I had my grandfather, from my father's side. He used to be a former policeman. So, yeah, even there, you're allowed to have guns, even when you're retired. Then, of course, in the family, I had my father was kind of connected, because you must be connected to have guns. He's not like a right. You must go to the police chief, say, please, may I give you 20 reasons why I should have a gun or more? And if the police chief is a friend of yours, yes, I'm sure you're going to find a way that can give you, you have a license. But it's very difficult. My father was lucky enough. And so also my other uncle, was a lawyer. So, more connections. That's the reality. So I grew up in an environment, thank God, that even Italy is pretty much, a mess when it comes to having guns. I was around guns. And of course I joined the military academy and I had a chance a little bit there too. But the point is I'm trying to say here is this. I came here to America and finally had the opportunity, that is a right, to exercise the Second Amendment, of course also the first. And especially when I moved to Arizona 11 years ago, I said, this is beautiful. This is not just having their right, but also trying to learn, be proficient, to be responsible. That's the most important thing. I wanted to be the best I could be. So it's like a journey. It's like always a way that you must find to improve. Not because somebody's telling me, but because I want to do it. So, the last few years, besides training and doing different things, different schools, different classes, I started to also, just last year, not even 6 months ago, it was about probably this December, the beginning of December, after the elections, I wanted to start this new business that was related to firearms training. And I wanted to get, of course, some certifications, okay? Not because I believe that I like to put on the wall my certificates for myself. No, because I think also there is a way to learn and to be more proficient, even in explaining things, especially when you try to share with other people. So I became an NRA instructor in pistol, in rifle, in shotgun, self-defense inside the house, self-defense outside the house, and of course also I did certification as a chief range safety officer. Okay, that's the bottom line. Bottom line is, why am I saying all this to you? Because now finally I can put, let's say, at work in a way that I intended to share this information to other fellow Americans, this knowledge. So I started to collaborate also with a local newspaper in Mohave County. It's called the Kingman Daily Miner. That I was very pleased. The new editor, Mr. Sean, he liked the idea, and my approach is I want to share information about guns-related topics that they are not just for the gun owners, but probably for people normally who hate guns. I would like to get this information for people that normally they are not familiar with guns. So I want to get, first of all, the basics. How to be safe, how to be responsible. That's something I believe belongs to everyone, gun owners and not gun owners. So, and this information may be lame for some. They already know this stuff. Great. But believe it or not, I have a lot of people that I know, I saw them. They consider themselves gun owners, experts, and my dear Jesus, stay away from them. Some of these people, they are the most dangerous people I've ever seen, breaking every type of rules or safety rules you can imagine. So I say, first thing, you must have a good attitude. That's the problem with everything, especially when it comes down to guns. Attitude is the first thing. Attitude means that, hey, somebody's trying to tell you something, give him a chance to share what he's trying to tell you. And then if you really think he's an idiot, that's fine. But first you try, because sometimes you don't see what you don't do right from within. You need to have somebody from outside. So the attitude is always to learn, to be receptive, to be open. Don't be a jerk. So that's the story. And now, let me talk a little bit about the Kingman Daily Miner. Because, as I said, I really was pleased and very honored, After all, think about it. My English, sucks sometimes, especially when I'm not, the story. I wasn't born here. I didn't go to school. I'm pretty good with Italian, but English I never really learned the official way to classes or schools. So I'm kind of self-taught. I even have friends, of course, and people who love me, that they've been close to me, try to teach me, okay? But the bottom line is, I am who I am. For me, to find myself today that I can collaborate as a freelancer and write for a newspaper, well, I'm pretty humble and pretty proud, okay? So that's the story. So, I've been doing this collaboration, and there was just now every Tuesday. You can also read, by the way, my articles online. Let's say if you are from Australia or from other parts of the country, you don't need to be living in Kingman to buy the paper. You can go to kdminer.com, and you can read my articles. If you want to find them, in the top right, there is this little search box. Put my last name, Zanna, Z-A-N-N-A, and you can read all my little articles. Now, we started pretty much with a series of 3 articles when it comes down to safety, gun safety rules. And I think a couple of weeks ago I read to you part 1. Today I would like to share with you part 2. And by the way, next Tuesday, now they gave me the official day for my column. Wow, I have an official column. It's going to be part 3. And then we have even more exciting articles, because it's not just about safety. Of course, we can talk about safety always, but it's also about how to be responsible gun owners, how to avoid to be in a gunfight, how to avoid violence. After all, you know what? The best gunfight is the one that you can avoid. Exactly. But also the best physical confrontation or violent confrontation is the one that you can avoid. Okay? Unless you're a psycho. That's not a problem. All right. So let me read to you this column that I wrote. It was last Tuesday. Okay. So this is Gun Safety Rules Part 2. In my last article, Gun Safety Rules Part 1, I share the fundamental gun safety rules that every gun owner should always follow. And if you want to know about the first part, as I said, go to kdminer.com and type in Zanna. You will find the article. There are more safety considerations that we should learn, and too many times are never been even mentioned or taken in serious consideration. I remind you that gun safety is a matter that belongs to everybody, not just gun owners. Exactly. Let's say now you listen to the show. Say, I don't care about guns. I hate guns. Fine. You don't need to do anything you don't want to, okay? Nobody's forcing you here. But I think it would be nice to know some basic knowledge that in case one day you will meet a gun owner or you will find a gun somewhere, at least you know how to behave, how to be safe, how to make the gun safe till help is on the way. That's the bottom line. So, even if you do not own a gun, just knowing these safety rules, you may be the person who can save an innocent life or warn and educate somebody else. That's the spirit. Education, helping each other in learning, because this is a serious matter. Okay, falling guns. They are just guns. Let them fall. Yes, like every object, a gun will follow the law of gravity. If it is not held correctly, it may slide off your sweaty or tired hands. It can happen, it should not, but, hey, we are human. So if the gun falls out of your hands, just let it fall on the ground. Do not attempt to catch it. I understand some gun owners will rather fall in a ditch themselves rather than see their brand new gun facing a scratch or a dent. Remember, the gun is an object, and your life of the life of an innocent is more important. Right? What happens if a gun is falling off your hands and you try to catch it? Just imagine a barrel pointed at your face while you're trying to catch the gun and probably have your finger touching the trigger and bang. Yes, bang. Too many people have died or injured themselves or innocents while trying to catch guns falling out of their hands. Please, if the gun is falling, just let it fall. It will not shoot even if there is not an external safety. All the modern guns have one or more internal safeties. If that gun is too precious for you, leave it in the safe and carry another gun that you are not so emotionally attached. The gun is just a tool. Believe it or not, this happens. If you do not train right now mentally and start to really do it, I mean, honestly, I don't like to let my gun scratch on the ground, but once in a while when I'm at the range in a safe way, triple checking that there is no magazine, there is nothing inside, and the chamber it's open, I let it go on the ground intentionally. Why? Because I train myself that this is just a gun. It's a piece of metal with some plastic. If there is a little scratch, no big deal. I know that day is gonna, never happen to me. But if one day my hands are gonna get sweaty or tired or I have a cramp and my gun is sliding off my hands, I'm not going to have the jerk reaction to try to grab it. I already passed that mental stage. That's very important. That's why I like to choose guns that they are practical, guns that they are, functional and robust. They're not hypersensitive or, too shiny that, oh my gosh. Okay? That's the bottom line. That's why I carry Glocks anyway. Okay, that was safety consideration number 1. And by the way, these are additions to safety rules because we already went last week with the basic foundation of safety rules. Now, rules number 2, holster your gun slowly. Let me say again, slowly. Yes, one of the most dangerous moments of handling a handgun, besides the presentation from the holster, is the moment you holster it. Think about it. You holstering the gun is very dangerous, and I'll tell you why. I've seen too many people literally slamming their gun into the holster without realizing the potential dangers. How can be bad? The trigger might be trapped in part of your garment. And imagine the consequences when you reinsert your handgun into your holster. Always do it slowly. Almost like a cowboy movie after the duel, and the winner looks around, scans around the environment, and slowly insert his gun back into the holster while scanning his surroundings. You should mentally count 1001, 1002, 1003, and insert your your gun safely into your holster. Always be sure your finger is off the trigger while you perform this operation. Yes. Now the important thing, always be sure of your finger is off the trigger, because sometimes you will see at the range 90% of the people that when they reinsert the gun into the holster, you will be surprised how the little finger is on the way on a place it shouldn't be. Very dangerous. Point 3, eyes and ears protection. In a self-defense situation, you may not be able to wear eye and ear protection, since things could happen way too fast. But every time you train at the range, you must always wear them. Imagine a small fragment of a bullet hitting one of your eyes. Also, shooting a firearm without ear protection can have devastating consequences on your hearing. It could potentially destroy your eardrum and even make you bleed. By the way, there's some misspell here that I was hoping that the editor could catch for me. I need to pay more attention to this, especially if you shoot indoors. There are several solutions for your ear protection. The most economical is less than 50 cents for a set of foam earplugs. I always carry a pair with me, even when I go out in my regular day. If I have the chance to see potential trouble coming, I can prepare myself. Imagine you're inside a car driving and somebody tries to carjack you. These 50 cents earplugs could be priceless. Second choice, of course, is the passive headset or mufflers that they go about for $10 or so. They're just regular headset protection. They protect your ears, but they also limit your capabilities in hearing important range commands or potential threats. At the range can be a safety problem, but in a house, in case of self-defense, can be even worse. You may not hear the potential home invaders, movements, or noises. Best solution, I'll give you the best solution now, electronic amplified ear protection. While they amplify your hearing with the normal sounds, they will shut down and protect your ears when the loud noise happens suddenly, like the loud bang of a firearm. You can find them starting for about $30 and up. Now, this is pretty much to conclude the part 2 of gun safety rules. I'm reading the article from the Miner, just to let you know, guys. That's the story. Now, let me have a break. Somebody's calling, and I'll come back on the air.
Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice. The Zanna way. Don't trade on us. The Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration, chambered in .223 Wild that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and .223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499. Made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Tread on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD, Don't Tread on Us, free ebook, How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt, Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30-round magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port, Don't Tread on Us, for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now.
Here we go. Back into the studio. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States FM network. I'm pretty excited. You know, I should be excited, I guess. I'm alive. That's a good thing. I'm not rotting in some federal prison just because of my freedom of speech. That's a good thing. So I'm here. I appreciate it. That's all I can say. I enjoy it. I'm grateful. Yes, I am. Now, let me share with you, we did a little bit of, let's say, gun safety rules. I was reading the article that I wrote from the Miner, the Kingman Daily Miner last Tuesday. There's a new article coming, of course, I mean, just now figured out that I'm going to be a regular every Tuesday, next Tuesday. Then we have, of course, this Tuesday I will conclude the section of safety rules, and we will go to another topic. The topic is going to be how to avoid the violent confrontation. After all, it's the best fight. Doesn't matter if it's a gunfight, fist fight, or any type of violent fight, is the one that you can avoid. So we'll talk about that. There are different things to consider. Things sometimes we can do, sometimes things you cannot do. That means sometimes it is unavoidable, but at least you will try your best. And I think there is so much. I think 90% of the physical or violent confrontations can be avoided, at least 90%. Then the 10th, at that point, you do your best to, let's say, follow through on what the other person started and you cannot avoid. But we will talk about that too. Now, a little bit about news. First of all, I have some news I want to read. Then I have a reminder. The Don't Tread on Us rifle. I'm very excited that, the last few months I became a federal gun manufacturer. And also I can legally ship firearms across the states to other FFL dealer, federal dealers. And so that means that if you want to, let's say, order the Freedom Rifle package, that I remind you is created by the Upper, Don't Trade on Us, the Freedom Rifle Upper, chamber in 223 Wild, 19 Twist. And you can see all the more details on freedomrifle.com. Comes complete with bolt, group, charging handle, and of course, I just said because normally many other products don't come like that, but I offer included a A2 type handle rear sight. The front sight is the typical standard, M4 sight, fixed with a turret. So it's a great package. It's very well made. And made in the U.S., of course. And just to let you know, it is really good with steel case ammo. The 223 Wild can shoot 5.56 NATO, 223 Remington, but I found out that he loves even especially, of course, brass is always the best, but the extractor, it works great, especially the way the round is sitting into the chamber. I think this is 223 Wild. It's a little more forgiving when it comes down to shooting steel case ammo. So I really like it. I never had a problem with the brown bear or even with the wolf, shooting thousands of those. So that's a great upper. Then it comes with the lower. I will ship you also the lower. The lower is a Plum Crazy Generation 2, upgraded. And you will see what means upgraded. It's very, very good because first of all, you got lifetime warranty. Okay? That's right there. It's something, it can't beat that. Lifetime warranty, I think it's an incredible thing, especially for the price you're paying. Not many companies that I know give you that. Then you have a very new design from the original Plum Crazy. It's a completely new, innovative design, stronger. And we did we shot a video running over the lower with Humvee, about 10,000, 11,000 pounds Humvee, on the asphalt, not on the grass or on the sand. We ran it over with three lowers, strip lowers, twice. These polymer lowers, not even a scratch. So that's amazing. So it's a great, great lower, complete. So you have the lower, the upper, and let me tell you a couple more words about the lower. The trigger. The trigger is amazing. It breaks about around, 4 pounds. Incredible trigger reset. Very crisp. It's polymer made. All the parts and components are made of polymers. People may say I have a problem with that. Guess what? First of all, you got lifetime warranty. It shouldn't be a problem. But more important, these polymer parts, we never had a problem. We never had to replace anything. It's amazing. And one thing I like about this polymer, all the trigger group, all the part normally inside the lowers that you're supposed to lubricate, they do not need, let me say again, they do not need any type of lubrication or whatsoever. I mean, if you want to do it because you want to waste the lube, that's fine, but you don't have to. They self-lubricate. They're impregnated with a special material that they do not need lubrication. So it's very innovative. When you need to clean it, just spray with air, or if you're really dirty, water, and then spray with air. Simple as that. So you have upper, lower, complete with sight, lifetime warranty on the lower. You have incredible bonuses like copy of the United States Constitution. Then you have a T-shirt, Slaves Are Never Armed, I'm Not a Slave, Freedom Rifle. Then you have a downloadable access to the CD, Don't Tread on Us, normally sells on Amazon for about $10. Then you also have downloadable access to the ebook, How to Become a Rifleman. I put every week or every time I have time more chapters. So you can learn the basics. I mean, wow. All this for $499. Okay? And the product works. Is reliable. It's light. So that's all I can say. If you want to now, finally, even if you're listening to the show, let's say in Texas or other states that are gun-friendly, I mean, if you come from California, I'm sorry, I cannot sell you any of these things. Oh, by the way, you also get a free included 30 rounds USGI magazine, okay? So if you are from a state like, Texas or any other state like you're allowed to have a basic self-defense semi-automatic rifle like the AR-15, guess what? All you have to do is you go to freedomrifle.com, follow the instructions, email me if you have any questions, or call me. And all you have to do is send me the FFL copy of your dealer where I will ship the package. You will get the upper, you get the lower, and all the freebie for just $499 and free shipping. Yes. So that's pretty much what I want to say. I want to remind you this. Now, I'm very proud I can ship this directly to any of your dealers out there in the States, wherever you listen to this show, okay? Now, a little bit of news come from Arizona. Normally I've been a kind of a critic on many issues of our governor, Arizona Governor Douglas Ducey. Okay, I believe it's kind of a rhino Republican in many issues. Unfortunately, it's been proven. But now I'm focusing on the Second Amendment, and I'm focusing on credit when credit is due, or even better, when credit is earned. Just May the 1st, 2017, the Arizona Governor Ducey wrote a letter to the Secretary of State, Michelle Reagan, mentioning the Senate Bill 1122, personal property transfer, limitations prohibited. And that's what he reads. Dear Secretary Reagan, today I signed SB 1122, which helps protect the Second Amendment. SB 1122 ensures a private citizen's right to personally transfer or sell private property, including a firearm, without requiring the owner to search any federal or state database or databases or involve a third party. This bill is consistent with our state preemption laws and my signing of the last year's HB 2224, private firearm transactions, prohibited encumbrances. In Arizona, knowing, selling, and transferring a deadly weapon to a prohibited possessor is a Class 6 felony. That's another story, of course. So the point is, I look forward to continuing to work with the legislature to protect our Second Amendment rights. Signed, Douglas Ducey, Governor of the state of Arizona. You see, sometimes, I'm glad. I'm glad to brag about something good. I'm not here to enjoy when things are bad going, we need good things. I wish, there will be also other aspects, but sometimes it's a process. As I said also during the first hour, it is also our duty, because politicians are like trees. You need to give them water. You need to give them some sort of a support to get some fruits out of them. If you just let them sit there under the sun, they're going to do whatever they want. Or at least, why should they care if you don't care? So I'm saying this work is being done, of course. I think Governor Ducey is right on this one, but also because of the help and the support and the efforts of thousands of Arizonans, thousands of law-abiding gun owners who are concerned and they've been expressing their concern to the legislators when it comes down to keep this right free without type of registration, without type of government interference. I'm supposed to be able to sell a gun privately, like I'm selling a pair of shoes, without the government. It must know what I'm doing. Okay? That's the bottom line. So kudos to all these people. And more important, Arizona Citizen Defense League, they've been always behind these type of things. They were there. I may also probably get Dave Kopp back, the president of Arizona Citizen Defense League, because these are good victories. This is what we do to fight back against the globalists. Okay? Now let's read a couple of news. Bloomberg, the pain in the ass former mayor from New York, pretty much never stops. He not only created drama and misery and a lot of slavery, I call it, in New York. Remember, this is the guy that he said that, wow, how many sodas or what type of sodas you could drink. The government dictate how big your soda drink can be. Is that not complete ownership by the state? What is that? And by the way, I hate sodas. I don't drink any sodas. The last sodas I drank probably was like 8 years ago, if not more. But that's not about me. That's about us, we, individuals, having the right to decide what is good for us or not, and be responsible. So anyway, that's the man that he was behind that. But, when it comes down to guns, he's been pouring a lot of money a lot of places. And thank God, many places been losing, okay? For example, Bloomberg wasn't finished with the land of enchantment and put an addition, talking about New Mexico. He tried to put some money there to try to stop, as usually, the people to keep bear arms. They always start with some sort of sensitive, some sort of, that is good. But then you realize what they're doing. They're just trying to erode your rights. So, what he did, reading from NRA-ILA, Institute for Legislative Action, for Legislative Action. This man is trying to, on Tuesday, Santa Fe voters rejected the measure by a 16-point margin, underscoring the elitist nature of the campaign. Voters in the city's middle and lower income neighbors went against the tax in huge numbers, while the vote in Santa Fe's affluent north and east side split almost precisely 50-50. So what he was trying to do, this bastard? He was trying to pass a universal background check legislation for firearms transfer. The effort failed on the strength of opposition led by the NRA. Other opponents of the bill included the New Mexico Sheriff's Association, which included a statement emphasizing the proposal would make it harder for law-abiding New Mexicans to exercise the Second Amendment rights and do nothing to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. Think about it. He had dumped $1.13 million into the effort. So this is what pretty much he does, the bastard, okay? He goes around, like he did in Nevada, unfortunately, he succeed by probably 1%. And he's trying to do, he starts all this background check, universal background check. It's nothing else but the registration. That's how all this starts. And exactly the opposite of what we just talked before a few minutes ago here in Arizona. That we can sell guns privately. We don't need to consult any government database. And the governor signed that. So screw you, Bloomberg. Screw you, any other tyrannical bastard out there who's trying to infringe on our rights. So I'm very pleased for my fellow brothers of New Mexico that they have won this time. But remember, the rat doesn't go away. And if it's not him, it will be somebody else. This is the globalist agenda, to disarm humanity. Because only when you disarm, look what they can do to you. They can milk you to death. They can milk you like a cow till you bleed blood, pretty much. No more milk. Look in California. They take all your guns, Make it very difficult, then we'll take your ammo, you have to be a special license to even buy ammo, special permit, and then guess what? The sky is the limit. Vaccine for everybody. If you don't like it, too bad. We come to your home and we'll vaccine you too. Mandatory vaccination for your children in school, and now it's going to happen probably even if your children there stay at home, we will come and get them anyway. And then don't worry about it. Meanwhile, we were going to completely break you down financially. 42% on what? We were talking about gasoline tax and then carbon tax and whatever tax. Just because you breathe, you got to pay. Your pension, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that too. If you don't like it, too bad. That's what happens in Europe. Completely subjugated population. And that's what they want to the rest of us too. That's why they want America down. That's why they hate our Bill of Rights. That's why they want our First Amendment. That's why they want our Second Amendment. They know it. This is the last country still standing against this globally enslavement. So please, I know I have a lot of friends out there that they consider themselves liberals. But I saw in some of you a huge improvement, at least awareness. We may disagree on some issues, that's fine. But you understand the importance of the Second Amendment. And I am very pleased. Now, on another note, talking about liberals, if they're not liberals, but for me they are violent bastards, who are somehow, exercising the Second Amendment. There was, on the YouTube, there's also an article, this group from Phoenix, I guess, of Antifa, whatever they call themselves, these lefties, that they're somehow training in the middle of the desert and doing some shooting exercises. And according to their, their statement, let's see what they say. The national network working to stem the tide of reactionary recruitment within white working class communities who fight white supremacy and build liberatory community defense. Liberal militia releases training footage. This is serious stuff. Okay? Don't get me wrong. I am glad at least they start to understand that they have the right to, even if they're from different political views. My only problem is these people are kind of scary for one reason, because it is not that they exercise their right and they have differences of opinion. They really are part of the communist underground movements that is not underground anymore. They've been on the open, the Brown Beret, the Mexican Reconquista, all the Marxist forces united. And you will see them. These people, they've been violent already. They've been using violence. Normally, they've been using rocks or whatever they have, sticks. And they're cowards, by the way. They go 10, 20 against one. But scary thing is, now they really believe this stuff. And they're going for the next stage. So they're getting guns. So I said, I have all the respect for everybody who exercises their rights, but in a peaceful way. Second Amendment doesn't say that you must go out there and harm or kill people you don't agree with. Okay? Or you have to go there and steal somebody else's property, or damage somebody else's property, or just, create a riot because you don't like the man in, let's say, elected president. Okay? So that's different. You have the right to defend your life, to defend your freedom. I agree with that. But not go out there and trying to intimidate others and start to really be vocal about it. They want to kill people. That's the point. So, the good thing is, somehow they're learning a little bit. That the good thing that they suck, thank God, at least for now. But the bad thing is, something's brewing. Don't you smell it? Can you feel it? Something's in the air. We've never been, even when Obama was in power, okay? You know how much division and hate was was created. I mean, black and white. I mean, we had it so good somehow compared before Obama. We had the worst racial division with Obama. But the point is now it's a new level. It's a new level. So I'm saying, I'm afraid that something could be like civil war is on the brewing. And the globalists will use us against each other to create this final chaos, to create the final stage they need, this sort of a martial law scenario. So please, people on the other side, for me, I have no sides but the truth. My side is America, the Constitution, freedom, respecting each other's rights. That's the only side I have. So I don't want to hear the crap like, oh, you're Republican or whatever. I'm no parties. All I know, though, we respect each other. Okay? Don't bring a gun into a fight unless you have a good reason. And hopefully you know how to use the gun. Okay? Don't start it. Don't start this. Because, you guys, you need few years still of a practice, seriously. A lot of practice. You may be good at throwing rocks and probably, bottles and gang 20 against 1 in the dark alley. Yes, you're good at that, pack of cowards. But don't start something you don't want to see ending. If you start it, somebody's going to end it. And it's not going to be pretty. We're still Americans. I understand you're being brainwashed by a bunch of, communist Marxist professors at college or high school or whatever. I know you think really that what you're doing is to save the planet or whatever crap you believe. But nobody's going to take my property. Nobody's going to force me to get my guns and to pay or give out my rights or my property rights. Or tell me how to live my life for the common good. Screw you. Okay? I'm not even a Trump supporter. When Trump does something right, I'm the first one to say it. Sometimes, he's been doing right at the beginning, but I'm also being very vocal when I see things that I know that's being compromised. But doesn't mean nothing. For sure, even if let's say, criticize Trump, I'm not with you. Okay, let's be clear. I'm not a freaking communist. Let's be clear. Okay? So you guys, dear guys, in case you're listening, I would like, by the way, to have you on the show. I really would. I would almost pay you. My guests are never paid, but for with you, to see how your mind and brain is rigged, how now finally you're going to get, you exercise your Second Amendment right, where normally most of you hate guns. But after all, think about it. The real revolutionary Marxist understands the importance of guns. Mao Zedong said, the political power comes out of the barrel of a gun. And you guys are the proof. Some of you, they are also very public about it. So I said, let's be logical. Let's be not too emotional. I know some of you, they're kind of young kids, and maybe they fell and tripped their heads on the Communist Manifesto too much. You'll be reading too much that book at night, or some other stupid, very utopistic ideas that, by the way, they're all being used and forced with violence. Forced with violence, yeah, I know it's a contrasense, but the point, that's the truth. Every communist agenda is being based on violence. Why you think in Russia, in China, in every country, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, I mean, everywhere there is this regime. North Korea, they must use violence. Nobody wants that. So the few, they are brainwashed enough, and also they benefit out of this, because after all, in every communist regime, the elite class is doing fine. In Venezuela now they are starving. But meanwhile, I'm sure the president and his family is eating well. Okay? So that's the bottom line. Let's have a break, and then I want to talk a little bit about Fabio. You know Fabio? Not Fabio the snitch from the, Bundys. My former friend Fabio, working with the FBI. Now this is Fabio, is the actor, the model, the good-looking man that in the 80s and the 90s was on every cover of these romance books. Guess what? Came out with something very important on Braveheart. Don't ever give up your guns. Fabio advice to America. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We'll look at that in a little break, and we'll continue.
Arizona, state of the free, state of the free.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca-Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca-Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, final part of the second hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna. You know, I enjoy reading the news. Sometimes I don't do it enough. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to bring you the guest, and I want to bring always more guests. But to have the opportunity to also give you some news, kick you back a little bit, I think it's great. I think it's something that I need to do also, because even this is a weekly show, it is not a daily show, but there are a lot of things happening. Sometimes we don't have time to read all this stuff. So, that's the spirit of the show. Second hour, it's about guns, rights, news, little training, safety, why not? Now, back to news. Fabio, as I was said, is Italian, by the way, he's Italian, but he just naturalized American. Very proud of him. Actor, model, whatever you want to call him. He had an advice for the American people, to the American people. Don't ever give up your guns. Wow. Don't you love that? Directly from freaking Los Angeles, Hollywood. Holding a beautiful American flag, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Okay, now this is, when he became a citizen, just a couple of years ago. This article is from Breitbart, whatever it's called. Based on his experience, I'm reading it, living in Europe and the out-of-control problems now being committed in the name of liberalism in California, model and actor Fabio warns America. Don't ever give up your guns. He suggests liberals have divided people and are using the split to push their freedom-crushing agenda. He said, the current division in the country only makes politicians stronger. When people are divided, the politicians can do whatever. When people are united, that's a dangerous thing. This guy is smart. Freaky smart. People think, oh, he's a cute guy, or he's just a dude, with some muscle. No, this guy is smart. He understands. According to LifeZit, Fabio recalled arriving in America for the first time saying, it was like a beautiful dream. It was like paradise. I fell in love with this country. But he has watched sweeping change occur under the Democrats like Governor Jerry Brown. And he indicates that the change favors criminal while leaving police demoralized. He said, it's a disaster. It's an epidemic. It's been around the world. I've been around the world, I've been to Africa, everywhere. Downtown Los Angeles now looks like a third world country. And he's right. Fabio said LA is full of closed-off streets and sidewalks and also has out-of-control crime and homeless problems. And he warned that things are going to get worse because of Proposition 57. Fabio said that proposition was promoted to save money by releasing non-violent criminals from prison. But he says Proposition 57 has actually resulted in reduction in sentence for human trafficking involving sex with minors, assault with a deadly weapon, attempting to explode a bomb in a school or hospital, discharging a firearm on school guards, failing to register as a sex offender. The list goes on and on and on. Yeah, they need to save money because they stole your money, these bastards, even with all these taxes. They're increasing now. This is my extra editorial. Fabio said, just look at Europe and go the opposite way. Right on, Fabio. I'm with you. It's as simple as that. Europe already jumped off the cliff. They are doomed. And he added, don't you ever give up your guns. If people lose their right, forget about it. Politicians will take everything away from you. And then what you going to do? Protest with a rock? Because that's what they do in Europe. This man is great. Honestly, I never really knew what they were doing besides the commercial for the butter or whatever, it's margarine, but I like him. I wish I could have him on the show. If anybody has contacts with Fabio, please help me out. He's a great guy, and he's proud to be an American. That's what he is. He lives in America, and I share with him the same feeling, nostalgic feeling also how really beautiful this country was. Even when I came here, it wasn't exactly 100 years ago, it was just 19 years ago. Even I was in California, probably the most already liberal state in the country, but comparing to now, I was talking with my friend Jeff Schwilk during the first hour. California was like a paradise just 20 years ago, and it was really bad. It's so sad. If people don't see the madness repeating over and over and over, the same illusion, the same, utopistic, completely out of their mind policies. They are producing always the same results, and they keep doing it. I'm sorry. Must be a disease. I really start to believe that whatever you call liberalism or whatever you think it is, I don't even think it's liberalism. It's just government. Government. You adore government. Government is your God. That's what it is. It's a mental disorder. That's what it is. So yes, good for Fabio. Good for Fabio for speaking up. Because I tell you, I don't know, this guy probably doesn't need the money, but in Hollywood, if you want to make a living, if you say type of things like this, you better have your saving account full, loaded, because I don't think you're going to get many jobs offer after this, okay? So anyway, at this point, we're going for hour number 3. If you want to help, oh, by the way, before I let you go, this Saturday, the 13th, okay, Saturday 13 in Kingman at exactly On Target Enterprise LLC. I have another beautiful CCW class, Arizona CCW class. Please enjoy the opportunity. It's free for single mothers. You can go to azccw.us, azccw.us, and I really invite you to come there. If you have a friend, you got $20 off. Bring a friend. It's an incredible class, more than 5 hours, almost 6 hours. All the information you need and more to become a better gun owner, but more important, a lawful gun owner, and able to have a CCW permit that you don't really need it, but it can give you some extreme benefits. Yes, you don't need it, but it can give you benefits having a CCW in Arizona. Okay? So azccw.us. Okay, ready for a little break, ready for final hour. Do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. Ciao.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on United States.fm network.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and who love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. This is the hour about love, final hour. What is the most important, really, feeling that we have, from my opinion, of course, but even not just a feeling, it's a sensation, it's an emotion. It's some sort of, let's say, the energy that really moves the world. It's love. And love, as I said, it has really different type of shapes and forms. But the one of the most, for me, pure form of love is when you should be concerned about a fellow human being, in this case is an American, or other human beings that even you do not know, but you know that something is wrong and they are facing injustice. And it's so easy today in today's society just to get used to the cynical world that we live in. Say, you know what? It's not happening to me. Why should I bother? Why really should I care? Meanwhile, you know, there is a life there. There are more than one life probably, suffering, being destroyed. But in this case, the case I want to bring today, it is way beyond just some surreal story. This is about a real situation that is happening right now in our, let's say, judicial system, in our private prison system, when there are a man, in this case, Ammon Bundy, was facing the same reality that probably many other third world countries or, you know, places like China or, I don't know, all these things that we think that we are better off, they're facing. Guess what? In America right now, there is torture for political dissidents. There is a no humane treatment just because you are on the bad list of the government. And this is something for me we need to talk about it. Not just because we want to entertain ourselves, but we want to do something. We want to start to stop this. Because next time could be your son, could be your daughter, could be yourself. So right now I have with me a lady. Her name is Kel Stewart, who I had the opportunity to meet through a common friend. His name, of course, Kenny from Michigan, Kenny Rhodes. He told me, look, there is this lady who's been in contact directly with Ammon Bundy. And what happened? According to Ammon's voice, they're torturing him. They're treating him like an animal. I mean, he may not make it. So I went to watch the video, but it's disturbing. I need to have her on the show right now because I really think we should be a little bit more also informed of what's going on to this man, regardless you think it's guilty or not guilty. Nobody deserves to be treated like that, especially when you're still innocent until proven guilty. Okay? Anyway, let me call on the air here, Kelly Stewart. Are you there?
Yes, I am here.
All right, Kelly. Nice to meet you. And I know you're driving. What part of the States are you in right now?
I am actually just arriving to the jail in Parhump, Nevada. It's Southern Nevada Detention Center, and it is a private prison in Nevada.
Yes, private prison is the right word. We know that. You know, unfortunately, this is the new culture now. It's called, it's like an industry. They need customers. That means they need more people in jail. Now, question is, where are you coming from? I know you're driving there, but you're not from Nevada. Where are you from?
No, I'm not. I drove in from Washington.
You drove from Washington. And I'm just curious, I don't know anything about you. What really motivates you to drive all the way from Washington? That is kind of Washington State, I guess we are talking, right? All the way to Nevada.
Right.
I mean, it's a long ride. Are you by yourself? I mean, why are you doing that? Are you a relative with Ammon? Are you a friend? What's going on?
I am by myself right now. I actually met Ammon and his family last year after they started challenging the federal government on some of the areas that they have really overstepped their boundaries. And so when Ammon and the rest of the group who occupied the Malheur Wildlife Refuge were sent to Portland to be detained until their trial, I went and regularly visited them with my family, got to know them, and got to understand who they are and what they're about. And they are remarkable people, and it was a wonderful day when they were all found not guilty for their Oregon trials, and now they are here in Nevada awaiting trial for once again standing up to the federal government. And
wow,
I got a lot of police. A lot of police up here, so I might.
I'm pretty impressed. I'm telling you, you are like by yourself driving from Washington on your money, on your dime, to meet Ammon, that you're not even a relative. I mean, that's what the law I was talking about, But now tell me something. I know you already met him. You already talked to him. I watched a video. Tell me exactly what's going on, exactly what happened to him in the last few hours. What's going on with him?
Well, the difficult thing about what they're all facing is these are all people who have been denied bail. So they have not committed a capital offense, meaning they have not murdered anybody, they have not harmed anybody whatsoever, and they've been denied bail because they are political prisoners. The government does not agree with their political standpoint, and so they've been detained, much like when he was detained in Portland for 9 months and then found not guilty. All of the suffering they're enduring until then is as though they have been found guilty before they even make it to trial. So I learned of what was going on here in Nevada. There is some extreme abuse going on to the point where Ammon does not think he will make it out of this facility alive. He actually said yesterday, they are trying to kill me.
Oh my gosh.
And there are other detainees that have called out and said, we do not believe Ammon will make it to his trial. We believe they will kill him before he makes it to his trial. So that's what got me in the car, and I told Ammon we were on our way.
This is very disturbing, and unfortunately there is enough ground and evidence to see that this is not something unusual. What's happening here? What if the federal government loses this trial? Not only the injustice that they done, just to keep, as you said, for me, one of the most important things, regardless the issue of the BLM or whatever, this man with the other man, they're found guilty without even having a trial. I mean, nobody, unless, if you commit a robbery, you rob a bank, or even if you kill somebody, you still have a bail. These people have not committed any type of violent crimes, and they're rotting like, hardcore criminals. That's scary. That's really like NDA 2012. This is like police state right now. We're under martial law. This is no more under Constitution for sure. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm just driving by the prison here, so I'm going to pull over and park for just a minute. But yes, the way that these people are treated, the good thing about it is Ammon's injustice has helped us to learn about much abuse that is going on unaccounted for inside of these facilities. And these people, if you argue with the guards, if you say something they don't like, they'll strip you of your clothes, they'll punch you in the stomach, they'll throw you in solitary confinement. And again, these are all unconvicted detainees. They're only supposed to be here so that they can guarantee that they will show up to trial.
Wow.
Is what the government says they're holding them for. So with Ammon's specific case, he had a shirt hanging off of his bed, like a lot of people do, and he's been severely targeted, so they're watching every move that he makes. He just came out of 40 days in solitary confinement, and he had a shirt hanging over his bed, and they came to try to take it from him. And he knows without a shirt he can't have breakfast in the morning, so he told them that, there was no reason for them to take his shirt. He'll pick it up. He doesn't need to get it taken away. And because of that, he ended up being taken out in the hall, punched and kneed multiple times in the gut. They stuck their fingers in his ears to apply pressure. And then after that, they took him with handcuffs and shackles, and they put him in a 3-foot by 3-foot shower for 13 hours with his hands behind his back. Oh. After that, six guards drug him out of there. And Ammon is he's a very soft-spoken individual. And he really doesn't want trouble for these guys, but he also knows that he is only there to guarantee he will arrive at trial. And so the way that they continue abusing and picking on him, eventually you start saying, no, I'm not going to let you continue doing this to me. And which is why he said he wasn't going to let them take his shirt away. And then they stripped him of his clothes. He couldn't lift his arms up because both of his shoulders were dislocated.
My gosh.
And so they physically lifted his arms up to take his clothes off, and then they stripped him naked and threw him in solitary confinement.
This is really, I tell you, if I didn't know that was happening in America, I'd say, okay, what is this, North Korea? I mean, that's what we are facing here. I mean, and it's so sad,
Right.
It's so sad because, first of all, I really always, this is my opinion, of course, and I don't know if it's yours, but regardless, the private prison system, we know what type of cancer it is in our society. It's really the new fascism when the corporation, becomes part of the government. And, of course, this type of industry, I believe in private industry, I believe in real capitalism, but this is not a real capitalism. This is like a corporatism, and more important, they need to feed on people, on customers, to keep the system going. So that's exactly what they want. But regardless, what they're doing here, there is no accountability. I mean, does Ammon has a recourse with a lawyer or somebody out there? I mean, we need to do something because seriously, he may just make it, probably he may die suffering before even he dies. They're not even going to kill him quick. What, does he have a lawyer?
Yeah, we did actually get his lawyer who arrived today in Nevada. His public defender. The public defenders do nothing. They're paid $130 an hour to pretend like they're representing these people. So Ammon does have a private attorney. Funds are very low. He almost doesn't have enough to even make his trips here to see Ammon. But he did make this a priority to come, and he is here today. The difficult thing, though, is what the jail is doing is legal. they are allowed to actually hold you in these 3-foot by 3-foot cells for up to 72 hours with no food and no water when you're being punished. Now, I do not believe he should have had his handcuffs on, because in a 3-foot by 3-foot box for 13 hours, or even they told him he would stay there up to 72 hours, but we were all calling and making a lot of stink about what they were doing, and they actually released him after 13 hours.
Wow.
So anyway, the difficult thing is that when we go to the sheriff, he says, well, was he being disciplined? Did he do something wrong? And then the sheriff has been telling us this week that unless Ammon himself files an affidavit and a grievance stating what happened, that they will not investigate.
Wow.
Well, Ammon can't even get documents out to file these grievances with the sheriff. And on top of that, when they file grievances with the sheriff, they end up sitting longer in solitary confinement for speaking out. Wow. So it's really a no-win situation right now.
It's scary. It's like a nightmare, but it's here. It's real. It's happening. And what I'm trying to say here, guys, and listeners out there, this tomorrow could happen to you, could happen to your son, could happen to your daughter. I mean, this is beyond the case of the Ammon. This is about the basic foundation of due process. And if there is really a justice in this country anymore, or we're living in the dark ages, where they can throw you in the dungeon, like under the king or queen, and bang, you are just a piece of meat. I mean, that's my point.
I think what the listeners need to also understand about these people is, while some of the main ones who are leading some of these protests are in jail, there's also a lot of people in jail right now who did nothing but show up to these protests. Some of the men who are in jail right now with Ammon showed up to a protest unarmed, very peaceable, and they were there for as much as an hour and a half. And they've been sitting now over a year in jail, denied bail.
Oh my
no
gosh.
criminal history, no criminal record, because the protest was directed against the overreach of the federal government coming into the state.
Wow.
And making rules and laws that they are not authorized to make. So when we say this could be anybody, this literally could be you tomorrow. If you find out your church is being persecuted and you show up to protest and stand with them in solidarity, you could end up for a year and a half sitting in one of these facilities with strip and body cavity searches, that they put their fingers places that fingers don't belong in these people's bodies to check them regularly and make sure they don't have drugs. And these are all unconvicted, nonviolent detainees right now. These are good men. They should not be going through this at all.
Wow, could be probably me, because I was there with them, and I was doing my job as first of all as an American, to exercise my First Amendment. Also as a member of the free media, I was recording the event. So I'm surprised I was able, thank God, to probably for now. You never know. I mean, they still have time to get me, I guess. This is really scary, guys.
Well, they do have Pete Santilli arrested, who was also there covering it in media.
Oh, I know. I was with Pete. I was with Pete. I know that. I was with Pete all the way.
So Pete is here at this jail that I'm sitting in front of right now, where he has been since last January, denied bail.
Wow. I'm still shocked how any attorney can justify, more important, how the system can justify, because the attorney should say, wait a second, we can't do that. We have the right to post bail, especially if there is no, come on, nobody got killed, as I said, it's a basic thing, even what the government is saying, why they deny bail. Is there a way they even bother to say to answer to this? This is for me still unbelievable.
Well, they've all filed for pretrial release multiple times, and every time the judge says, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're not leaving. Wow. And none of them are flight risk. They all have families and homes. They're at no risk for fleeing the country. And the other thing is, all of the people who came to protest the federal government's abuse. They are not going to leave this situation. The people who are in jail right now want to fight this out all the way through in the courts and win. And so the fact that they're being denied bail so that they can be at home preparing for this huge battle that they want to be a part of is just one more sign that the government is continuously trying to silence them. They beat them, they're abusive, they're vile, and then they come along and offer these plea deals. You won't get 95 years in jail if you just plea out. Say you're guilty. Say you're guilty. Well, how many months of this can you take before you just say, fine, I'm guilty. If it will let me go home, I'm guilty. Just let me go home to my family. Wow. And that's all this is about right now, is getting guilty verdicts, because they know they will not get the guilty verdicts in the court.
They really, this is like, no matter who is in charge, no matter which administration, the system, the corrupted system is still there. Because right now, I tell you, if it was really true Trump was going to be a difference, the new attorney general, this say, wait a second, what's going on here? This is not just a small little thing going on. There's a lot of human beings, a lot of lives being destroyed. I mean, they should get a sorry, a greeting cards, and of course, maybe even a check for the time and the money they lost, the homes they lost or something. But no, they are still here, even with Trump and even with the new attorney general. I'm losing hope. What the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Well, the people need to stand up. Right now, we're doing a 24-hour day camp out here at the prison in Parhump, Southern Nevada. It's the Parhump Southern Nevada Detention Center. If anybody is local or even within a few states, then you can get here. We're going to be camping across the street from the prison where the inmates can see us. Because we came here to do this camp out, sit-in, basically, they have shut down the prison. So it's a complete lockout. They're not letting anybody come in and do visitation. And we're literally here doing a camp out because of our safety concerns of what they're doing to these inmates. But what they're doing to change that narrative is they're saying, because these people are camping here and they're so dangerous, we need extra security and we're going to go into lockdown.
Wow.
Which is a complete lie. I'm a mom. We've got a badminton set. We're going to be setting up and volleyball, and we're going to be camping out here, letting the prisoners know that we're here, we're watching. We're going to be protesting. For them to be right now, there's armed guards, 3 armed guards standing at the entrance, staring at me. We can't enter the facility. We can't drive on the property now because they're in lockdown for this safety concern, and it's a complete lie of a narrative, and they're doing this to make people feel like, well, maybe we're scary. If they're going to these great lengths, maybe we are scary people here, and this is what they did in Oregon at the refuge.
Yeah.
When Ammon was out there, they shut the city down, and they made everybody terrified, and they had no reason to be afraid. If anything, they should feel safe that people like us are here watching what's going on.
This is part of what they do best, They need to create fear. Mm-hmm. They need to create a narrative. They need to create a propaganda. And they love it because, they can justify, of course, all the over budget and over price structures. And every time they do it, trust me, even when they do a little bit of things like that, that's going to heads up the tab on our tax dollar. Trust me, when you go lockdown, oh man, private corporation loves it. These people are really something else. I'm really proud of you. And all the people like you, of course, but, in this case, I'm talking to you. I'm looking at your profile on Facebook. You're a young lady, very courageous and also very, as I said, this is not some sort of entertainment. This is a risky business. Even just being there today, even just giving a like on some post that supports your position against the federal government, they can put you part of the conspiracy, according to the prosecutor and the judge lately on this case. So, I understand. I was there, and I have no regrets. But at the same time, I understand this is serious, and what you're doing is amazing. But more important now, I have to say, you listeners, do not just, keep driving or keep cooking or whatever you're doing at home and just say, oh, that's great. Hey, bravo, very good. Keep doing it. No, you need to do a little bit something yourself. Every one of us needs to do something, a little bit. Okay, I'm just here, sticking my neck out. I could talk right now about stupid things, but no, I decided I want to talk about these things because this is more important than everything else. It's about freedom. It's about the freedom of our future, of our next generation, and our present. So right now we got to do something. But at the same time, I say, if there is a way, a phone number, somebody we can call, say, private prison, don't be so cocky, because you can just kill people like that. And because we are still here, the American people, we are watching. Do you have any phone number or maybe the sheriff number, anything we can go out?
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Actually, it would be very great, a number we have not been calling today that we could really use some calls to. We know the Nevada governor is incredibly corrupt, Harry Reid, and we know that he has huge invested interest in keeping the Bundys off of their land. But at the same time, we would love to get some phone calls to Senator Harry Reid. He is the governor of Nevada. He actually has the authority to pardon every one of these men and get them out of jail right now if he wanted to. And even if he isn't going to do that, it is still his responsibility as the governor of this state to make sure that they are not being abused, sexually assaulted, starved, thrown into these little holes for long periods of time. And so if any of the viewers would pick up their phone right now and call Governor Harry Reid, his phone number is 1-775-684-5600. 5670. That's Harry Reid, 775-684-5670. And, you know, while we're very upset about the individual abuse Ammon Bundy is facing, everybody in this facility is suffering. And so we would really like to bring attention to that when we call Harry Reid and say, you have people suffering in your county and you're doing nothing about it.
I want just to be clarified. That's this senator for Nevada, because the governor is Brian Sandoval.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. I just gave you the number to the governor, so please call the governor.
Yeah, Brian Sandoval. You just find the governor. I mean, that's the governor of Nevada. Of course, Harry Reid is the senator, federal senator. Another, you know, it's like talking to the devil, pretty much. If you want to give him a call, just because if you want to talk to Lucifer, probably it's easier. They may give you a better answer. But we know this is all corruption. Doesn't matter. We still need to let them know that we are here. We are watching for our fellow human beings and Americans. That's what it's about. It's not about politics. It's not about differences of opinion. This is about, seriously, I wouldn't treat like that, you know, a dog. A dog must deserve more respect.
No,
okay? An animal.
We would be put in jail if we treated a dog like this.
Yeah.
If we chained a dog up and starved it and put it in a small box for 13 hours, beat it, and then you know, isolated it, we would be in jail right now for animal abuse.
Exactly. No, this is really good. Listen, I'll keep you posted. My only important, you please keep me posted. And I just sent you a request through Facebook, so maybe and every time you have any update, just PM me. And all I'm saying, thank you for bringing this information. Thank you for, you know, really, you know, just not talking about it. You're going out there physically, and you know, you have a family, you have all your other things that normally you're committed, but you're doing this in a way that I wish we have more people to do this, because this is very serious. If we lose this battle, next time it's going to be any one of us. America as we knew it. No, as we know it, it's already. It's going to be gone. I mean, it's better we move to China. Probably we're going to have more rights there. Seriously. All right, listen. Thank you very much, and
thank you.
Keep me posted as you have. And if you have any photos of the, let's say, out there of these security guards or anything that can be posted publicly, send it to me via PM on Facebook so I can put it out on my Facebook page.
I will, and I'll do a live stream in about 5 minutes here. And once I get out of the car, and you can share that if you want. People can see there's guards with binoculars right now watching us, walking around the grounds of the facility. You know, it's really intimidating. They're very heavily armed, and all we did was come because they're abusing people. So yes, please, I'll share. I'll do a live stream, get the word out there, and if more people could come and stand with us, that would help. Very good. And I see here, by the way, on the live feed, I see my friend Little Dog. Say hi to him when you see him, okay? Okay, I will do that. Thank you very much. All right, guys, this is very disturbing. I mean, more I hear this stuff, more I say, is it real? Is it really real? I mean, what the heck is going on here? I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, this is real. You can be thrown in jail like that and abuse and torture. And the worst part, think about it. Denial of bail when you have committed no previous crime and you have done no violent crime just because the state does not like your position. Are we really still the land of the free, home of the brave? I mean, come on. Come on. This is unbelievable. As you heard, there are people there that went to face this nightmare over 1 year in prison, just waiting for a trial, and all they did, they were just there peacefully exercising the right of freedom of speech. That's it. That's it. You know that. There is no stand in front of any type of jury who has still a little bit leftover brain to be found guilty. But now they need to crank it up. They need to make people completely afraid of their life, and more important, breaking them down at a system that they need to plead guilty. That's why I think really it's happening here. This is now like the mafia, not play anymore even, not even diplomatically, like that. They go just straight with it, breaking bonds. That's what they're doing. Let me take 1 second a break, and then we come back. I know it's hard to go back into the more lighter things, but we need to try to balance, as I said. Otherwise, we go crazy here, but at the same time, we got to do our part. So I said, one thing we can do, first of all, spread this information, seriously. Understand, regardless if you're left, right, middle, you don't care, doesn't matter. It's not about politics. This is about the basic human rights,
American rights system that belongs to every human being. You're supposed to be found innocent until proven guilty. And more important, you should not be treated like, I don't know, in some Korean, dungeon, torture. Deny you basic things. All right, so let me do that. Don't forget to call Brian Sandoval, Nevada governor, and you can find this information, his phone number on the website. Just go Google Brian Sandoval, Nevada governor. Say, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, guys, do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, and God help us.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
There we go, back into the studio. I tell you, it's pretty hard for me to go back now to talk about, I don't know, erotic poems or serenades or pasta recipes when there are people out there that are facing really not just tragedies, they're facing nightmares and they're facing really life-threatening situation. That's what they're facing. This is happening right now in America, not in Korea, as I said, not in China. It's happening here. So I need to continue this hour. I'm sorry. Maybe a little hard for some of you guys. I don't care. Change channel. But I need to play this audio recording, this phone conversation of this very brave woman who I had just on the show a few minutes ago, Mrs. Stewart. And she had this conversation, phone conversation with Ammon Bundy, political dissident, political prisoner. That's what he is so far. And listen to his voice, exactly what they're doing to him. That's something I want you to understand. It's beyond politics. It's beyond if you believe he's right or wrong. And if you believe in the due process, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. He already was found innocent at the first trial in Oregon. Think about it. Now he's facing another one. Meanwhile, they're torturing him. He's fearing for his life. Listen, please.
You can. Ammon, go ahead and say hi.
Anyway, I just wanted everybody to, I don't know, maybe understand a little bit the situation. I want...
Ammon, tell us what you...
This call is from an inmate facility.
The main thing I want you to believe my wife. I don't want people calling her a liar.
We believe her, Ammon. Tell us what...
I know.
Tell us what you have been through. She said that there were moments that you actually had circulation being cut off and you thought that they were going to kill you.
Well...
What happened?
They didn't like that I had a shirt hung over my bunk bed, I guess. So the guy took it, and that's fine and dandy, but the problem is if you don't have your shirt, they won't, then you can't get breakfast the next morning because they won't let you eat unless you have a shirt. And my other two shirts were in the laundry, so anyway, I tried to get it back, and he refused, and then Ryan got involved, and he tried to get it back, and anyway, then they decided to use force on us, and they're going out in the hallway. Actually, they said that they wanted to talk to Ryan out in the hallway, and so he went out there willingly and talked to him, and I told him that I wanted to keep an eye on him, because I was afraid of what they might do to him. They said all they want to do is talk to him. That's all they said. So anyway, he talked out there for a while, and the next thing you know, they're hauling him down the hallway. And then they came in, and I demanded to know what they were going to do with Ryan, and they wouldn't tell me, and the other people in the pod were upset because they saw how the guy lied and told them that we had assaulted him, the guard, you know, and they were upset, so the pod was upset, and they wanted me to get out of into the hallway so they could do what they wanted to do with me without worrying about the other inmates. And so they grabbed me and dragged me out and beat me to the ground and kneed me, you know, and hit me and shoved their fingers in my ears and behind my ears. And anyway,
can you tell us
handcuffed me. And
can you tell us the names of any of the guards who were assaulting you?
No, and I don't want to quite go there yet, Kelly.
Okay.
I know maybe I should, but I don't want to be like them. I don't want to retaliate.
I know. That's fine. I'm just asking.
They need accountability, but I don't know. Maybe I have more faith in people saying what's wrong. The problem is the tyrants.
They are.
They don't recognize themselves. Just justify it all. I mean, I don't even get it. I can't think that way. And
okay, so
I don't get it.
They took you into a shower stall?
They dragged me down, yeah, and they took me down into...
This call is from an inmate facility.
Threw me in a shower. It's probably about a 3x3 block, brick shower. It has a metal door on the back side of it. And I'm handcuffed, and they did take my leg irons off, but my leg irons had cut around my ankles and both my legs, so they were bleeding.
Your ankles were bleeding.
And both of them, because of the trip down the long hallway with the leg irons on. And then I'm handcuffed behind my back. I got my arms turned out, you know, so that really bad position. And then with that little room, I could just crunch up, and I could never get any comfortable. I could stand up, but after a couple hours of that, I'd have to go back, and I was hurting my shoulders.
And you were handcuffed this whole time?
Yeah, behind my back, and they were tight, and my hands were starting to swell up, and kept cutting circulation off my hands, kept having to move my hands to keep circulation in my hands. And
how long were you
right shoulder, I was in there for 13 hours. And they were telling me that I was going to be in there for 72 hours. But I think the reason why they abandoned that was because Brian was calling. He could see a little bit of the shower from his cell. So he was calling her, trying to, I think that's what brought a lot of attention. And
this call is from an inmate facility.
Mentioned one time that Nye County was going to come and investigate. And I think that's what, I don't know who said that, but whoever said that was wise in saying that, because they began to act different once that was said.
They didn't actually come and investigate?
I've never seen them or talked to them. No, I still would like to. I'd like to tell them what's going on. I'd like to show them my hands and stuff.
You want to speak to the sheriff?
Either that or the commissioners.
Okay.
They have a responsibility to protect the people's rights in this county.
Yeah, they do.
And just because this facility has a federal contract, it doesn't negate their responsibility to protect the people that are within the boundaries of their county.
No, the contract does not give them. The contract does not give them the right to abuse anybody. No contract give somebody the right to treat people the way that they are treating you and many other prisoners. What you're experiencing, you are bringing light to what many other people across this country are going through, Ammon. And I commend you for being bold enough to share your story so that people can get involved and people can tell their neighbors what's going on and how we need to get to the jails and set these people free, all of them. If you guys are not going to receive due process, then there's no reason for you to be sitting in these jail cells just to be tortured and abused. This isn't America. No. This isn't how we do things.
No. Well, what they wanted from me is they wanted nothing but for me to submit. They wanted my spirit. They wanted to that's all they want.
Yeah.
And so I spent, because they're like, well, we'll take your handcuffs off if you'll just strip and
this call is from an inmate facility.
And do what we tell you to. And that's all they want, Kelly.
I know.
And it's no different than, I mean, I don't know, but it seems no different to me than any other torture. I mean, when we think about tortures and torture chambers, they drag you in and they throw you in there and then they inflict physical pain on you to get you to, do what they want you to do or admit to something that they want you to admit or deny something that they want you to deny, but it's all through force, and that's what I just experienced. And
you are absolutely you're absolutely a prisoner of war, Ammon. There's no other way around it. You are a prisoner of war.
Well, it got pretty, I don't know, I was quite a bit of pain, in there, and I couldn't sleep because I'd been up, the day and then all through the night. It's about 30 hours, almost 30 hours, I think. Yeah, it's probably right around 30 hours since I had been able to, I was in there without sleep, and then I had to, I had to go to the bathroom, and there's no place. So I just did that in the drain, but then that was difficult.
Right there in the 3-foot by 3-foot shower that they left you in for 13 hours is where you also had to use the bathroom.
Well, yeah, there's no other choice. I mean, I had to go to the bathroom twice, and then I didn't want to there's no water, and of course they don't feed you, but there's a shower there, but the problem is if I turned the shower on, it's too small, I would have got wet, and the temperature's already at the point, and probably because of, the shock of my body and stuff, I was already shivering and shaking. I didn't want to get wet because I felt that I would be really cold then. And anyway, so then they kept telling me that if I don't submit, that they're going to escalate the force on me. And I just kept telling them that, look, they don't have a right to do what they're doing. I mean, you can't, they don't have a right to torture me just because they are not willing to give them what they want. And so anyway, then, so at probably around close to noon or something today, I think, they came in with like a SWAT team. They're fully geared up, like riot gear. I've never seen it in here before like that. And they opened the door and they dragged me out. And at that point, I could, I was still in my handcuffs, and it was hard to get up and walk. But they weren't too mean to me. They weren't. They did help me up and walked me over to my cell and to the hole, and they took me in there and made me lay face on my ground while several of them were on my back. And then they handcuffed me, and I could barely move my arms, so they had to move my arms for me to put because they said as soon as they unhandcuffed me, that I was supposed to put my arms on my head, but I couldn't do it because of the position I was in for so long, and because of the circulation of my arms, and still, anyway, it's still difficult to move my arms. So they had to they used their hands to grab my arms and put my hands on my head, and then they stripped me all the way down to nothing, rolled me over, did their inspection, threw the clothes out the door, backed out and shut the door and left me naked in the cell.
And that's where you are right now?
Well, the guard that looks over the hole here, he got my garment, my undergarment, and he threw them back through the latch, and so I was able to put those on, and that's where I'm at right now.
And how long do they plan to leave you in the hole? Until we come and get you out?
I don't know. I have no idea. The thing is we have to understand that in their eyes, this is all my fault. And I don't know.
It's not your fault, Ammon.
I could be a good.
This call is from an inmate facility.
I'm just not a good prisoner.
You're not a good slave. You're not a good slave.
I know, but
that's all. This isn't your fault.
If I would just comply and accept, I could probably be a lot easier in here, but I don't know.
If you comply and accept, then that's what we are.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Then that's what we are to do out here as well. And there's a group of us that'll get together and we'll fly down to Nevada and we'll be there by this weekend and we'll bring as many elected officials as we can and we will make sure that you have a meeting with either commissioners or the sheriff. So you can mark my words.
I'm telling you.
We will come. Okay? We'll come. John will come.
I really believe not for my sake, but for the sake of what might happen to somebody else. They intended on leaving me in there for 72 hours, and it would almost have killed me. I'm certain of it. 13 hours was enough.
Well, you have 500 listeners right now. Do you think they'll let you call back in?
Your time is up.
So it's Ammon Bundy from CCA, Parhump Nevada Detention Center, Hostage Center, where he had a shirt hanging off of the edge of his bed last night, so they drug him out at 10 p.m. and threw him in a 3-foot by 3-foot room shower for 13 hours with no food and water. And after that, he was stripped naked and thrown into solitary confinement with no clothes. And it was one guard who came and brought him back his garments. America, wake up! This is not the land of the free and the home of the brave. Wake up! We need people. We need funds going to the attorneys. ammon-bundi-defense.com. 500 viewers right now. Each of you go and donate $5 right now so that we can get Ammon's attorney, who is not in Nevada, Morgan Philpott, down there to Nevada to be fighting for him. He should already be in Nevada, and the only reason he's not in Nevada is because of funds, because he doesn't financially have the means to be there staying for the next year fighting this battle for Ammon. So he's left dependent on Dan Hill, his court-appointed attorney, who obviously has not intervened and done anything in this situation. We, the people, stepped up and made phone calls to the jail. That is why he was taken out of the hole after 13 hours, when they were going to leave him there for 72 hours. Did you guys hear his voice? It didn't even sound like Ammon Bundy. Can you imagine what his family is going through, knowing how he's suffering? We have to do more. No more rallies. We have to have protests. We need to be flooding online media. We need to be contacting all of the elected officials. Everybody needs to be calling the Nye County Sheriff Department and demanding that he go in there and speak to Ammon Bundy. Demanding. He needs to call. He needs to go do a well check on Ammon Bundy. His ankles were cut from the shackles that they drug him down the hall and down the stairs with. He was handcuffed for 13 hours with his hands behind his back in a 3-foot by 3-foot shower, and then thrown naked into solitary confinement. If this is not the time for the people to rise up and say, absolutely not on my watch, then when is the time? These men have been convicted of no crimes. They will be acquitted. He will be acquitted in his trial. I absolutely guarantee that. So now this man will have suffered along with the others who have stood strong, like Ryan Bundy, who says, I will not comply with unlawful orders. That's very un-American of anybody to comply with unlawful orders. If it's a bad law, you don't comply with it. He had every right to keep his garments in there with him and not have them taken out of his room last night. They're bullying him. They're not complying with unlawful orders. That is what a proud American does. That's not what a terrorist does.
Okay, guys, I had to stop here. This is pretty much the phone call conversation with from prison, from a federal facility that is pretty much private, though, of course, like the Federal Reserve. This private prison in Parhump, Nevada. You heard directly from the voice of Ammon Bundy. What's happening to him? Remember, this man has been denied he's been denied bail. He was found not guilty in Oregon. Okay. Well, he already spent, many months waiting for trial without bail. Same story now here. Meanwhile, they are waiting for trial. Look what they're doing to him and people like him. So that's my point. This is the new America, where you are guilty until proven innocent, where you do not even have a basic right of a cow. I think cows has better rights when they go to the slaughterhouse. Now, if you go to be a cow in some decent slaughterhouse, they treat you more humanly. Trust me. So that's the story. What can I say? Should I say, oh, don't worry about it. It's all cool. Go back to Cinco de Mayo, drink tequila, and God bless Mexico. And yes, God bless Mexico. How did I come out with that? Speaking about Cinco de Mayo, what type of stupid holiday you celebrating? I say you, or some of you. We're here facing the destruction of America, and we are somehow bothering to even think about something that does even really being celebrated in Mexico. That's amazing. We should celebrate, the torture of many innocent, and not just Ammon Bandits, but all the innocent that were found innocent. They've been rotting in prison and being tortured and treated like animals. That's what we should celebrate. Their courage. Their sacrifice. Not Cinco de Mayo. For God's sake. Who gives a damn? Seriously. Anyway, let me take a break before I start to really get out of my control. I'm going to have a Zanna coffee. I'll say a prayer by myself. I'm not here to proselyte or to tell you what to do. Whatever you believe is fine for me. I couldn't care less. Don't you understand? I'm not here as a perfect Christian. I'm a terrible Christian. I tell you, you do whatever you please. I couldn't care less, whatever you believe. All I care that whatever you believe does not infringe on my belief. That's it. Okay? So I'm a bad Christian if it comes to that. Yes, I'm not here to preach. But I still pray my own way. And I pray for the soul and the body of Ammon Bundy and all the other people out there who are suffering, and for their families. That's it. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. Do not go away.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short, and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee.
Here we go. It's the end, at least for today's show. And God's willing, of course, we will talk next Sunday. Why say always God's willing? Because regardless if you believe in God or not, the point is, it's not up to me. You see how things can change, not even month by month or week by week. I say hour by hour. in every way. It is not just the government. I mean, I had a Facebook friend, Kenny Field. We've been in touch on Facebook for probably 3 years. He's a local. I met him in person. He used to live in Golden Valley. I remember his last post was on Facebook. Oh, I quit smoking. I feel great. And he was sharing one of his latest little food that he likes. That was nice. I like to see people having a positive attitude, especially when you're already struggling with things and trying to find happiness in easy, simple things, like a meal, like getting back to be healthy. He enjoyed playing music. He was a guitar player. He was, I think, in his early 60s, so he was still young. Now, the blue the other day, I found out, hey, did you hear what happened to Kenny? I said, no, what happened? He died in a car accident. But it wasn't even a car. According to what they found, he had a heart attack. They found a strap in his own seatbelt. Thank God nobody else got hurt. And it was just gone, like that. That's my point. That's why I say God's willing. Because I'm here today, I don't know what's going to happen next hour. I'm not so arrogant. So all I can tell you, though, I'll do my best to be around. I have a lot of things I would like to finish before I go. A lot of things I would like to share. And try to do my part. That's all I can say. This is a battle, by the way, you know that. At least for me, I found out my own answers. I don't know for you. You find whatever you think, but the point is, why am I here? Why I have to be born in misery? Because every time you think about it, the first thing you do when you're born, what do? You cry. You're not like smiling, hey, everything's fine, I got it ready to go. No, you're going to be struggling the rest of your life. It's always a struggle. You are in this physical material dimension. Your body is a pain because your body gets hurt. The body needs to eat. The body needs to be fed, and then you want that, and then you want this, and then you have to work, and then you have to pay taxes, of course. That's, just to make things even worse. The government really does a great job there. But they say it's a struggle. But we are here. After all, we're going to be gone anyway one day. Why we have to go through all this misery? Maybe because there is some good in all this. Maybe because we have a chance to go through an opportunity to show where we stand. We've been given a chance, first of all, to appreciate, enjoy. There is a good part in this life. It's not just all pain. There are also some good things. There are some emotions, even physical sensations. Think about it. If we are right now for a limited time, you have a body that you can appreciate. You should take care of it. You should appreciate it. It's like almost a gift. It is a gift. And from little thing of pleasure, it could be, a nice piece of bread, homemade bread, or a glass of wine, or I don't know, a kiss, or any other thing could be nice and make you feel good. But I think there is more than just this first layer of physical sensation. There is then the opportunity to choose where you stand. You can stand for good or you can stand for evil. You can, and don't get me wrong, I'm not holy, I'm not perfect. But every time I know I'm doing something wrong, I try to correct myself. That's the fact. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we have to go through few lives to improve ourselves. Maybe this is our journey where we've been given a chance to decide. And sometimes people say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to mind my business. And that's probably your choice. And your silence is consent. When you see all this evil happening, you cannot just stay silent. That's what I'm trying to say. Because, one day, no matter what, you will be gone. We all be gone. So there is no reason to be fear of something that is inevitable. How you say, my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, it was not. Oh, this is terrible. You cannot have fear of something that it will be oh my God. I'm going to give up on this one. It will happen anyway. I'm sure you know the word. I'm just freaking out. Anyway, so it's going to happen. I will find the word next week. So the point is, why to be afraid? Why to be afraid? Use this fear and get something out of that. Get you the motivation, the strength, the energy to do what you have to do. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Let's appreciate life. Let's enjoy life. It's a gift. Yes, it's also a journey. It also can be a pain, a lot of challenges, for sure. But also it's an opportunity to put really in stones our legacy, where we stood, what we tried to do. Because our actions of today, I think it was a movie, I think it was Lord of the Rings. Our actions of today, they will echo or reverb in eternity. Think about it. All right? So meanwhile, we are Planet Earth. We got to pay bills. I appreciate your help to keep this show on the air. Because, it's not the show it costs me as a station. Of course, I want to help the station with sponsors and, more important, support KTOX by, their sponsor. But this show is completely self-produced. I'm here. It takes me a lot of my time. Please go to my website, www.zanna.us. You can download any of my songs for just 99 cents. You can find the link for Zanna Coffee, zannacoffee.com. And of course, now there is a new ebook, Lyrics and Poems. A new book is coming out in a couple of weeks. Of course, the erotic poems book. I appreciate your help. Thank you very much. God's willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday. You'll be listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna.